Chapter 1192. You're surprised, right? Mayor, who straightened his head and looked at Li Fan, you can't kill me because you're just food. Use the Shang Fang sword. The dragon girl said, stretched out her hand, and a golden light appeared in her palm. The golden light gradually condensed and slowly formed a golden sword. The Shang Fang sword, the symbol of Li Fan's identity. For some reason, seeing the appearance of this sword, Mayor Hu's proud eyes retracted and subconsciously took a few steps back. There was some fear on his face, as if he was instinctively afraid of this sword. This sword was originally used to kill mythological beasts, and it also has a strong effect on magical beasts. The dragon girl explained. Thank you. Li Fan waved his hand, raised his middle finger and index finger, and pointed at Mayor Hu. Under the control of his Yuan Qi, the Shang Fang sword was directly unsheathed, and with a golden light, it instantly stabbed out. Mayor Hu almost subconsciously dodged, and the sword cut off one of his arms. His arm fell to the side, turning into a black sewage. It seems that your rebirth ability has failed. Li Fan winked at him. Why do you want to kill me? Mayor Hu was hysterical. The organization harmed me and made me fall to this point. Shouldn't you go against the organization? There may be some black sheep in the organization, but there are also some knowledgeable people. Li Fan said very flatly, just like the recently emerged Imperial Army. Imperial concubine Zhou asked me more than once, why don't I use my identity as the Shang Fang sword to completely destroy this organization? But is it enough to destroy the Imperial Army? The so-called Imperial Army is nothing more than a code name. Even if I destroy it, the internal rot will breed other organizations like the Imperial Guards and the Red Guards, and they will become my enemy. What I want to deal with is not the Imperial Army, nor some politicians. I just want to protect everything that I cherish. He looked at the Shang Fang sword in his hand. I was forced by the situation to accept this sword. The higher-ups need me, and I need them. We are just using each other. At the end of the day, I, Li Fan, am just a martial artist. I am not a politician, much less a ruler. You should learn from me and destroy them. Destroy everything, even destroy this unfair world. Mayor Hu tempted Li Fan, you have such great power, why don't you use it? The Shang Fang sword is a guardian, not a destroyer. Li Fan answered very simply, that's where we're different. I'm a human being. I have feelings. But you are a beast, you can disregard your own family for your own sake. Hypocrite. I curse you. Mayor Hu roared, I curse you, you will destroy everything in the end. You will become the greatest demon king in this world. The person you love will die for you. Those who worship you will come for your life. In the end. Mayor Hu repeatedly cursed, but before he finished, Li Fan had already appeared behind him. At the same time, Mayor Hu's head flew into the sky. In the end, spare Luo Luo, she didn't do anything wrong. Mayor Hu's body slowly turned into smelly black water. At that moment, Li Fan seemed to see something. His spiritual force is very strong. At the moment of his death, he saw Mayor Hu's last memory. Mayor Hu used his body to protect Luo Luo. Behind him was a group of people throwing eggs and stones at them. Adulterous couple. Shameless. In the next scene, Mayor Hu and Luo Luo were hung on the frame, exposed to the sun, washed by the rain, and thrown stones by the people around them. I will take you out of this town. Then came the next scene. Mayor Hu, with a stubbled face, held Luo Luo's hand and said to her. They ran in the wilderness. Behind them was a chasing crowd. No one can escape from here. The next moment, Luo Luo was in front of Mayor Hu, being carried by dozens of men. This is a crazy country. Only beasts survive here. Luo Luo's eyes were pale. Mayor Hu suddenly grabbed the police chief's pistol and fired. Li Fan suddenly woke up and returned to the grotto. There was black water all around, and the stench was so strong that Dragon Girl couldn't help but cover her nose. Let's go home. N. Li Fan pulled Dragon Girl and the two of them walked out of the grotto. Outside, the sun slowly rose and sunlight sprinkled down. A beautiful woman in a black robe stood under the sunlight and looked at them. Luo Luo. The woman slowly took off her black cloak. The sunlight sprinkled on her body, making her smile look very warm. At that moment, Li Fan felt as if he had been redeemed. Thank you, for saving him. Luo Luo's body vaporized bit by bit and dissipated in the sunlight. Only this whisper remained in his ears. What did you see before he died? Dragon Girl suddenly asked. Nothing, just an affair between a man and a woman. Li Fan looked at the sunlight and stretched, the air is so good. I really want to bring Muronging here to smell it, so that she can forget everything at home. What did you say? Dragon Girl looked at Li Fan in surprise. Ah. Li Fan was also a little surprised. Why did he suddenly think of Muronging? By the way, you should like Muronging, right? That's impossible. Li Fan refused to admit it. How could I like that arrogant woman? Xiao AI told me that although she wants to dominate you, she can see that you really like Muronging. Dragon Girl said what Murong loved. Since you like her, why don't you go and snatch her? That way, she will hate me. Li Fan took out his phone and sent a message to his contact. The helicopter will pick us up soon. I will prepare a feast for you. Oh, what do you think? I am quite competent, right? Li Fan boasted, you can go to bed early too. You can also save me some food expenses. After observing for so long, your character is passable. Hey, what do you mean by passable? There is something wrong with your sexual orientation. What? Li Fan's face changed, are you kidding me? No, don't you think so? You have so many women around you, but you are the best to Lu Zhu, right? You seem to have endless topics to talk about with him. For the past few nights, you talked until late at night before going back to your room. Xiao Wan also complained a few times, right? We're just chatting. Li Fan emphasized, don't misunderstand. He and I are really just brothers. Maybe. Dragon Girl suddenly couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing at you for being stupid. How am I stupid? Li Fan was unhappy. At this time, the helicopter flew over their heads. Because Lu Zhu, the helicopter covered the rest of his words. Chapter 1193. Why are you looking at me like that? In the dojo, Lu Zhu is standing in front of Li Fan. He is holding the stone lock while looking at Li Fan in front of him. Li Fan is recalling the Dragon Girl's words that day. Behind him is covered by the helicopter, so Li Fan didn't hear it clearly. After that, the Dragon Girl didn't say it a second time, making Li Fan a little annoyed. Do I like you? The stone lock in Lu Zhu's hand suddenly falls down, fiercely hitting Li Fan's foot. Even with his aura shield, this made Li Fan feel pain. Fuck. Are you trying to kill me? You. Why did you suddenly ask such a question? Lu Zhu's expression seems to be a bit panicked. He is a handsome young man, usually very calm, but today he is restless, as if he doesn't know what to do. He even averts his eyes, not daring to look directly at Li Fan. There are always people saying that our relationship is not normal. But I think it's quite normal. Li Fan is very puzzled, aren't the two of us the most solid brotherhood? I feel that they are all fujoshi. It's definitely because both of us are handsome that they think we are a pair. TSK, society's morals are deteriorating day by day. Li Fan shakes his head and sighs. Lu Zhu, however, recovered and in turn, ridicules Li Fan. How are you handsome? At most, you can be considered delicate. You are obviously doubting my handsomeness. Li Fan glares at him, look at my charm, even a peerless beauty like imperial concubine Zhou was conquered by me. You are a bit arrogant, young man. Lu Zhu seems a bit unhappy when he mentioned this, didn't she conquer you? Li Fan doesn't know how to defend himself. Damn, this question makes him feel helpless. In any case, we are just brothers, right? If you want to develop deeper, you can. Lu Zhu winks at Li Fan. Life can occasionally be a little fresh. Go away. Li Fan rolled his eyes at him. Hurry up and continue your cultivation. Your basic skills are too weak. You need to hone them. Do you understand? Yes, Master Li. Lu Zhu picked up the stone dumbbell again and continued to practice her basic skills. Li Fan sat on an armchair at the side, watching the few people practicing in front of him. Jiang Yi brought the lower-level disciples to another place to train. This was a place that belonged to the inner sect disciples. Jin Kyumo was also practicing inside. She was still practicing the mantis fist, but it had been improved by Li Fan. The current praying mantis fist was more direct and ferocious. Complemented by the primordial chi that Jin Hisao had raised, the might of the praying mantis fist was incomparable. Wang Xiaoran and the others had also become a little stronger. With her straightforward personality helping to take care of her two junior brothers, Li Fan had a lot less to worry about. He was on a whim, but it was easy for him to be a hands-off shopkeeper. Because of the Shangfang sword, the royal guards didn't dare to make a fuss after being slapped in the face by him last time. Everyone said that the royal guards were holding him back, but in fact, it was Li Fan who had been playing hooligan with the royal guards. The entire Sima family hated Li Fan to the core, but there was nothing they could do about it. Li Fan. Dragoness pushed the door open and walked into the training room. Li Fan. What's wrong? Didn't you play League of Legends? What's there to play? Xiao AI isn't here. Did she sneak out to play? Li Fan looked at the courtyard outside. The weather is good today. It's sunny and windy. What's there to play? She hasn't been feeling well these 2 days and hasn't gone out. Not feeling well. What's wrong with her? Li Fan was a little anxious. Something happened, idiot. Dragoness rolled her eyes at Li Fan. I don't see you caring about her usually. Ahem, it's my fault. Li Fan coughed dryly. Then where could she have gone? Did she go out to buy something? We always call for express delivery when we buy things. Does Murong AI miss? The skinny guy suddenly interrupted. I saw her in the morning. Someone seemed to be looking for her, so she went out. Someone is looking for her. Li Fan frowned. Murong AI did not know anyone here. How could someone be looking for her? Could it be the work of the royal army again? Lu Zhu was smart in this aspect. He suddenly asked. If it's them, I'll tear them into pieces. Li Fan stood up. Don't be rash. It's just a hypothesis. Lu Zhu pondered for a moment. The alarm you installed didn't go off. That means Murong AI is fine now. I'll go out and take a look. Li Fan was worried. He planned to go out and look for her himself. At this moment, an angry voice came from outside. Li Fan. Come out. The curses outside were like thunder, scolding unceasingly. Who is outside? So noisy. Lu Xiaohu was very unhappy. He rolled up his sleeves and was ready to go out to fight. Stop. Li Fan stopped him. You can't beat the person outside. Who is it? Lu Xiaohu looked strange. The patriarch of the Murong family, Murong Bo, Li Fan said, opened the door and walked into the courtyard. When Lu Xiaohu and the others heard this, they were shocked. That old dog Murong actually came to the entrance of the martial arts school. You guys practice inside. Don't come out. I'll go out with Master. Lu Xiaohu immediately followed. Imperial concubine Zhou was afraid that Li Fan would be at a disadvantage. She quickly followed and went out together. Murong Bo was wearing a white martial arts uniform. He stood in the courtyard of the martial arts school. His eyes were like thunder. He was staring fiercely at Li Fan. He was so angry that even his subordinates didn't dare to approach him. They could only hide far behind him. Li Fan was wearing a black and red martial arts uniform. He stood opposite of Murongbo. Li Fan, I want to avenge my daughter. Murongbo didn't even give Li Fan a chance to speak. In an instant, he jumped and appeared in front of Li Fan. He stretched out his hand and directly sent a flame palm toward the center of Li Fan's eyebrows. His palm was as red as fire. It was like a flame falling from the sky, falling toward Li Fan. Li Fan stood there and stretched out his right palm. A bear king seal collided with Murongbo's palm. Bang! The two took a step back at the same time. The ground in the courtyard collapsed. A lot of gravel flew up and floated in the air. As the two stepped back, they fell to the ground. Li Fan. Go to hell. Murongbo seemed to have taken mad dog medicine. His eyes were red and his nose was snorting. He once again chased in front of Li Fan. Both of his hands used a flame palm. He aimed at Li Fan's ears. He couldn't wait to slap Li Fan into meat paste. Li Fan frowned. As he took a step back, his heart was still puzzled. Although Murongbo wasn't a good person, he was rarely so emotional. What's wrong with him today? Did he take too many aphrodisiacs and have nowhere to vent? This is the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School. It's not your turn to be presumptuous. Li Fan raised his elemental chi. Taking advantage of Murongbo's gap, he directly sent a guillotine kick. Chapter 1194. What kind of experience does Murong have? Even if he is a little crazy, he can still judge the power of Li Fan's kick. He transferred the power of Star Luo Divine Art. His palm shone and directly slapped Li Fan's calf. Bang! Li Fan's calf was bounced off and Murong's palm emitted white smoke. Both of them took a step back at the same time. Both of them were shocked by each other's strength. Li Fan, today I will make you pay for my daughter's life. Murong has obviously gone mad. He stepped forward again and the war god behind him jumped out. A palm fell from the sky and smashed towards Li Fan's head. Li Fan also released the flying lion goddess. With a bear subduing, he grabbed the war god's arm. Together with Murong, he beautifully threw them over his shoulder and directly smashed them into the courtyard behind him. Bang! The ground heavily trembled again. Murongbo was lying on the ground, his fall was not light. Although he almost has the strength of a semi-sage, Li Fan's vitality is too strong to restrain true energy. He is actually evenly matched with Murong and even faintly suppressing him. Another reason is that Murong was too angry and lost his cool. Otherwise, with Murong's fighting ability, he would not be so easily knocked down by him. Give me your life. Murongbo is also not someone who can be knocked down in one strike. He flipped his body and directly jumped up. After that, the great war god grabbed a 5-meter-long light sword and threw it into the air, suspending it above Li Fan's head. This familiar move, Li Fan naturally recognized it at a glance. God slaying. A bolt of lightning struck down, as thick as a bucket, heading straight for Li Fan. The sky seemed to be split open. The momentum is astonishing. Everyone present was alarmed. Even Imperial concubine Zhou frowned. Li Fan's move under Murong's display has become a bit more fierce. Golden Body. This was a move created by Li Fan himself. He used his Shield of Vigor to protect his entire body. The Shield of Vigor was strengthened by his primal chi. Furthermore, Li Fan had condensed his vital energy into something like steel, sealing himself within. This way, the enemy would not be able to attack him, and he would not be able to attack the enemy. The so-called golden body was to purify one's golden body and prevent all evils from invading. Li Fan had tested it before. Once he activated his golden body, even the machine guns of the Imperial Guards could do nothing to him. However, this was the first time he had to face Murong's god-slaying head-on, so Li Fan was a little uncertain. But regardless of whether he wanted to or not, the lightning had already descended from the sky and instantly swallowed him. A half-meter deep crater appeared on the ground. It could be seen just how powerful the god-slaying sword was. For a moment, dust and smoke filled the air, making it impossible to see what was going on inside. Murong waved her palm, and the wind from her palm blew away the dust, revealing the figure inside. Li Fan was still standing steadily in the crater, safe and sound, without a single injury on his body. Murong's eyes widened, and Li Fan himself was a little surprised. This golden body was too useful. It could even defend against god-slaying sword. He didn't know if he could defend against a nuclear bomb. Li Fan really wanted to give it a try. This was an extremely suicidal action. Li Fan, you won't be able to survive for long. Murong roared as he raised his palms and jumped in front of Li Fan. His palms struck out continuously striking Li Fan's body. Li Fan's golden body withstood the attack of Murong's flame palm, and the golden body kept ringing. It was as if Murong was not attacking Li Fan, but a bronze bell. But even if it was a bronze bell, it should have been shattered by his palm. After fighting for a whole minute, a crack finally appeared on Li Fan's golden body. It seemed that the endurance of the golden body was limited. Once the limit was broken, Li Fan would not be able to use the golden body again for at least 5 minutes. Li Fan, die. The great god of war popped out again, holding a ball of chi bead in his hand, and smashed it towards Li Fan. Generally speaking, true chi bullets were used for long-range attacks. But if it was a close-range attack, it would be difficult for the enemy to dodge. But in this way, he would also suffer the backlash of power. Murong was going crazy. He didn't care whether he was injured or not. In the blink of an eye, the true chi bullet had already torn through Li Fan's golden body. With a crisp sound, the true chi bullet landed on Li Fan's body. Humph! But the flying lion goddess behind Li Fan stretched out her hands and directly caught the true chi bullet. This true chi bullet was controlled by the flying lion goddess and floated in front of Li Fan. And the great god of war pushed the true chi bullet, trying to destroy Li Fan's defense. The two martial gods' true bodies fought for this true chi bullet. At the same time, because they had to constantly transfer power, the true chi bullet became bigger and bigger, and it became more and more difficult to control. No one around dared to intervene. Even Imperial concubine Zhou kept her hands in her sleeves and stood by the side to watch the show. No matter what Murong's character was like, his strength was very strong. These two people's fight was really too exciting. Li Fan's apprentices were also watching intently, and those apprentices were leaning on the window, watching with shining eyes. Too powerful. This is a martial grandmaster. And not far away, there was a group of Imperial guards patrolling. When they saw that it was Li Fan and Murong fighting, they didn't go forward to stop them. They couldn't stop them, these two people's background was too strong. This was a fight between immortals, they just hoped that they wouldn't be affected. And that true chi bullet was already as big as a millstone. If this went on, I'm afraid that both of them would be injured. But Li Fan's goal was achieved. He looked at Murong and suddenly opened his mouth. Puff! A sword with lightning spewed out from his mouth and directly shot towards Murong's throat. Almost in an instant, Murong's great god of war dispersed. He stretched out his right hand and crushed the lightning sword. And the true chi bullet was also pushed by Li Fan's flying lion goddess and hit Murong's body. With a bang, Murong's body was blown away. He turned a circle in the air and finally landed on the ground in a sorry state. Murong, is this all you've got? Li Fan and Murong's martial arts were almost the same, but he relied on a variety of moves to beat Murong's back. After a few times, Murong had completely lost his patience. Li Fan, don't be complacent. Murong opened his arms and the great god of war popped out from his back. This great god of war seemed to roar and spread out his true chi, causing the surrounding soil to fly up again. Billowing dust covered the area, wrapping their figures in it. And then, Murong's palms clapped together, setting off another storm that blew away the smoke. The huge figure of the great god of war was slowly shrinking, and soon it shrank into a golden armor that was worn on his body. This was the armor of the god of war. It was completely golden and had the pattern of a swimming dragon on it. At this time, Murong was like a divine general that came down from the heavens, glaring at Li Fan, wanting to descend from the heavens. Martial God True Body, second stage. This time, it was Li Fan's turn to be surprised. Chapter 1195. Murong Bo was indeed a heaven-warping genius. He had only seen Li Fan use the second stage of the martial god True Body once, but he was able to do it himself. The first stage of the martial god True Body was powerful and had a shocking aura. After all, the ancients believed in great strength. The martial god True Body was often much larger than a human. This was the strength of a giant. Even in the Nine Truths Essence technique, the larger the martial god True Body was, the more powerful it was. However, Li Fan did the opposite. He compressed the martial god True Body and attached it to his body. Murong Bo wore a golden armor and held a golden sword. He was like a god of war that descended from the sky to take Li Fan's life. Li Fan instantly entered the second stage of the martial god True Body. He wore a full set of flying lion battle armor, making him look as mighty as a lion king. Murong Bo teleported a few times and appeared in front of Li Fan. He raised his sword and the sword energy tore through the sky, slashing towards Li Fan's face. Li Fan leaned to the side and dodged Murong Bo's terrifying sword energy. At the same time, he clenched his left hand into a fist and punched Murong Bo's face. Lion King Fist. Li Fan's Lion King Fist was a fist technique he created by combining his own primordial chi. His fist punched out and his primordial chi pushed the fist to explode. It was like shooting out a cannonball. Furthermore, it was so fast that it was almost invisible to the naked eye. Everyone only saw a flash of golden light before Murong Bo slid backward. He stabbed his sword into the ground and stabilized his body. However, Murong Bo was Murong Bo. He took Li Fan's Lion King Fist head-on and did not react. After he stabilized his body, he grabbed his sword with both hands and pulled it out. Then, he threw out a few golden sword energy that pressed down on Li Fan. Li Fan's Lion King Fist struck out consecutively. Golden light flickered in the air as he struck down Murong Bo's sword energy. These two people are too powerful. Wang Xiaoran watched from behind the window with a longing expression. It turned out that the battle between experts was so exciting. Today is the day you die. Murong wouldn't stop until he killed Li Fan. He roared and picked up his sword. His body instantly sped up. Murong Bo displayed his unique skill. His whole body turned into a sword light and shot towards Li Fan. Golden sparks erupted from Li Fan's body, and large scratches appeared on his armor. In an instant, Murong was already standing behind Li Fan. His sword light had almost hit its target 100% of the time, but he had also suffered from the rebound of the power. White smoke was still coming out of his Ares armor. Looks like you're really going all out. Li Fan looked at the furious Murong Bo and thought to himself that it would be a fight to the death today. Murong Bo continued to chase. He turned into a sword light again and shot towards Li Fan. Li Fan flipped and leaped 5 meters high, landing on the roof of his dojo. Murong Bo's sword light sliced through the locust tree behind Li Fan, splitting the century-old locust tree into two. Sigh, it's a pity for the big locust tree in my courtyard. Li Fan sighed, feeling very regretful. Where are you going? Murong Bo stomped his feet and used 8 steps overtaking Cicada. He also jumped onto the roof and fought with Li Fan again. Li Fan's attacking style had always been fast and continuous attacks. Basically, he could determine the victor in 4 or 5 moves. However, it was very difficult for him to do so when facing Murong Bo. Murong Bo was a leading figure in the martial arts world. Back then, he was an existence that could beat him to a pulp. Now that he was on par with him, Li Fan was already a great fortune. If he wanted to defeat Murong Bo, apart from strength, he also needed a bit of luck. Just as the two of them were locked in battle, the 7 Heroes dojo was suddenly surrounded by the Imperial Guards. The Imperial Guards, all dressed in black suits, split into 2 rows and let Sima Hui and Di Wuliang walk in. At this time, Sima Hui was accompanied by 4 soldier-level experts. Di Wuliang had also been temporarily promoted to a horse-level cadre. There were also 8 prime minister-level cadre on his left and right, acting as Sima Hui's bodyguards. These people were carrying a Chinese divine weapon in their hands. They were aggressive as if they were here to vanquish demons. "You two, can you stop now?" As he spoke, all the black-suited men pulled out their pistols and aimed at the 2 people on the roof. Murong Bo stopped and looked at Sima Hui coldly. "Sima Hui, are you trying to rebel?" "It's you who's rebelling, isn't it?" Sima Hui laughed. "Murong Bo, as a general-level cadre, you openly violated the ban on martial arts and fought with another martial artist here. Now that the 2 of you are wanted, why don't you surrender?" "I'm here to report." Before Murong Bo could finish his words, Murong Bo just happened to enter the crowd. "Huh? You guys." Li Fan and Murong Bo were both smart people. They had already figured out what was going on. This move of driving the tiger to chase the wolf was really awesome. "Sima Hui, you're really good at scheming." Li Fan slightly narrowed his eyes. His gaze was filled with a fierce glint. Baby girl, are you okay?" Murong Bo had already jumped down from the roof and walked toward his daughter. However, Murong Bo's expression darkened and she took 2 steps back. Murong Bo's face was somewhat pale as she stopped in her tracks. "Murong Bo, Li Fan, the 2 of you have been tyrannical for too long. Today, the heavens have eyes and I've finally caught the evidence of the 2 of you. You've waited for this day for a long time." Li Fan also landed and looked at Sima Hui. "However, I want to know, what can you do to me?" "Li Fan, do you want to openly defy the law?" "Fishing is illegal, my friend." Li Fan crossed his arms and looked at Sima Hui with disdain. "Besides, I was only sparring with Murong Bo. I didn't even use internal force. Is that not allowed? You want to quibble? We've already recorded the video." Tisk tsk, the special effects technology nowadays is so strong. Who knows if you guys use special effects to synthesize the video? You want to use this method to falsely accuse us? Too despicable. Whether you're a scoundrel or not, you have to accept our investigation to know. Sima Hui was also an old fox. He had waited for such a long time for this opportunity. How could he let Li Fan cover it up with just a few words? The evidence is sufficient. The 2 of you better obediently surrender. Sima Hui said loudly, "If you resist, don't blame us for being impolite. I want to see how impolite you can be." Just as Li Fan was about to speak, his phone suddenly rang. On Murong Bo's side, there was also a call. The 2 of them had a tacit understanding at this time. No one knew who called them. Li Fan picked it up and heard that it was General Ran. "Li Fan, accept the investigation for the time being." General Ran's voice came from the other end of the phone with a pleading tone. "With the pressure from above, I can't handle this matter. What's the point of being an imperial sword?" Li Fan sneered, "I might as well quit." "No, Li Fan. This time, I want you to go in. There's one more thing that I want to ask of you." General Ran suddenly lowered his voice. Chapter 1196. Li Fan was taken to the Imperial Guards prison. The Imperial Guards prison was different from a normal prison. The prison was built on a submarine in the sea. The submarine was 1,000 meters long and 500 meters wide, like a giant beast lurking in the sea. It would only surface when prisoners came. Usually, it would sink to the bottom of the sea, hiding its traces. Li Fan couldn't help but admire Sima Hui. This man was really good at making trouble. He even deliberately built such a unique prison. According to Li Fan's thoughts, he would never be caught by the Imperial Guard and brought to such a damned place. At most, he would fight to the death. He would kill the Imperial Guard and then return to Li Family Island. However, General Ran sent a request to sneak into the Imperial Guard's prison to rescue Professor Kai. According to General Ran's information, Professor Kai was a former laboratory director of the 12 Heavenly Generals Department. He advocated the development of many high-tech technologies. But then, Dr. Kai disappeared, and his disappearance was inexplicable. Subsequently, the Imperial Guard developed the powerful Dragon Chip and China's divine weapon. General Ran and his staff analyzed that Professor Kai might have been taken away by the Imperial Guard. The base of the Royal Guards was under the supervision of the government. The only place that could hide Professor Kai was the dungeon that no one knew where. General Ran wanted to take this opportunity to let Li Fan break into the prison and find Professor Kai. Therefore, although he knew it was a big trap, Li Fan still had to jump into it. However, as long as he found Professor Kai and brought him back, it would probably be a major blow to the Imperial Guard. The facilities in the Celestial Prison were more modern. Each cell was independent and made of special glass. When Li Fan came in, he saw that many cells were already locked with many prisoners. Some were crazy, some were depressed. Some were walking around, and some were sleeping. In this kind of dark prison cell, one's mental energy would probably have to endure an arduous test. Bang! Li Fan was pushed into the cell, and the cell door was slammed shut. This cell was surrounded by glass on all sides. There was no privacy at all. Before Li Fan came, he was forced to take a cultivation dispersing pill. However, this pill targeted at martial fighters had no effect on Li Fan. When he swallowed the pill, he used his essence to wrap it up, and when no one was paying attention, he spat it out. However, the difficult part was the handcuffs on his hands and feet. They were made of a special alloy, so it would take some effort to break them. Li Fan sat cross-legged on the bed, silently circulating the Yuan Qi in his body. As for the martial arts club, General Ran had already sent people to protect it. Li Fan was not afraid that the Imperial Guards would play any tricks. This place was very quiet, very suitable for cultivation. It was a pity that Lu Wanner and Imperial concubine Zhou were not here to accompany him. He felt that his bed was a little cold. Cough, I might have been a little too greedy for gentleness recently. It was a good opportunity for him to change his environment and adjust his mentality and emotions. Li Fan sat there cross-legged. This was the first time he felt so peaceful. He allowed his emotions to relax and maintain an ethereal state. The vital energy in his dantian also began to circulate faster. The way of cultivating vital energy was similar to the way of cultivating vital energy. They both started from the dantian and went around the 8 extraordinary meridians in the human body. However, the definition of the small and large circulation of vital energy was different from the small and large circulation of vital energy. In the past, when cultivating vital energy, the vital energy would go around 36 times in the body, which was a small circulation. 72 minor circulations were equivalent to a major circulation. Practicing a large circulation would make a significant improvement in martial arts. When it came to essence qi, one small cycle was equivalent to one revolution of the earth. In other words, a full day of practice was one revolution of the earth around the sun. A large circulation was one revolution of the earth around the sun, which was 1 year. The process of cultivating vital energy was in line with the principles of heaven and earth. It was much more advanced than the vital energy, but it was also much more difficult. The cultivation of vital energy was more difficult than the vital energy, but the benefits were also much greater. Li Fan had an attitude of taking things as they came, which was very natural and unrestrained. When the people in the other cages saw Li Fan, some sneered, and some curled their lips. When they first came to this place, some would go crazy, while others pretended to be relaxed. After staying here for a period of time, they would break down. However, Li Fan did not have to rest for long before someone came outside. A man in a black tuxedo walked to the glass door of the cell. There were 2 Imperial Guards in black suits beside him. The Imperial Guards brought a chair for the man in the tuxedo and let him sit down. It was obvious that this man was of high status. Li Fan opened his eyes slightly and glanced at the man. The man had oily hair combed back and wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He had a cigarette in his mouth and was sitting with his legs crossed. He was looking at Li Fan with interest, as if he was examining an interesting animal. "You're Li Fan, right?" The man looked at Li Fan and said with a smile, "Let me introduce myself. I'm the warden of this prison, my name is Yu Tu. I heard that the little tyrant of the martial arts world was locked up here, so I rushed here. I wonder if you're used to living here with me." "It's good, but the bed is too hard." Li Fan had a smile on his face. Yu Tu observed him for a long time but could not tell what he was thinking. "You should improve the quality of life of the prisoners here," Li Fan suggested. "At least get a soft bed, it'll be more comfortable. Aren't you a martial artist? You should like to sleep on a hard bed, it's good for your back. Martial artists should have their own pursuits in life." Li Fan patted the hard bed. "This is a place paid for by the government. Don't tell me you're pocketing your own money. That's too much, I'm a conscientious person." Yu Tu flipped through Li Fan's information and said, "Look, your qualifications are amazing. At such a young age, you're already a tyrant in the martial arts world. You're too kind. You're too kind." Yu Tu closed the file and looked at Li Fan again. "In terms of rank, you're one rank higher than me. That's the top law enforcer in China. If you really think so, you can arrange a better room for me." "I can't do that, I'm really sorry." Yu Tu took a puff of his cigarette. "I don't care if you're a dragon or a tiger outside, you have to lie down here." "I'm neither a dragon nor a tiger," Li Fan replied casually. "And I don't lie down, I can stand and lie down when I want." After saying that, Li Fan directly lay on the bed with a big 8 shape. His expression was very comfortable, as if he was resting. "You're indeed the little tyrant, you can still be so arrogant even in a place like this." Yu Tu chuckled. "But I'll let you know soon enough that this isn't a place for you to do as you please." Chapter 1197. The door to the cell opened, and 2 royal guards came in and grabbed Li Fan. Li Fan didn't resist, he wanted to see what these royal guards had up their sleeves. The 2 royal guards dragged Li Fan all the way to a small room. Although the room was small, it was made of alloy and had all sorts of tools for torture. Modern ones included electric chairs, nails, and hammers. Ancient ones included cages, wooden donkeys, and ropes. There were even a few foreign ones, like a stool made of knives and iron virgins. It was a dazzling sight, sending chills down one's spine. Li Fan looked as if he was in his own house, his face expressionless, as if these tools were just toys. The 2 imperial guards pressed Li Fan down and locked him on the electric chair. "Li Fan, what do you think? Isn't this place nice?" The warden, Yu Er, had changed into a white robe and was picking out a scalpel from the table. "This is my favorite place in the entire prison." An assistant was wiping the scalpel for him when the warden suddenly raised his hand and slapped the assistant. "How many times have I told you? I need music when I'm praising art. Do you understand?" With that, he slapped him a few more times. The assistant covered his face in pain, but he still had to smile at the warden. He hurriedly went to the CD player next to him and played a serenade by Chopin. Yu Er's twisted expression changed, as if he was enjoying it. He was like a doctor saving the dying and healing the injured, his face full of benevolence. "All right, it's our time now." Yu Er walked to Li Fan's side, smiling at him. "You don't know how many iron men have sat on this chair. But after that, they all begged me for something. Do you know what it was? Change to a soft bed." Yu Er almost choked to death, but he recovered quickly, his smile still plastered on his face. "They begged me to kill them. Do you want to know something from me?" Li Fan asked him. "No, I don't want to know anything." Yu Er's reply surprised Li Fan. "I'm just enjoying the pleasure of creating art on your bodies." As Yu Er spoke, he chose a scalpel that suited him. He turned around and slowly walked over to Li Fan amidst the music. He waved the scalpel in front of Li Fan, the glint of the blade piercing through his eyes. "This scalpel can easily cut flesh and bones. Yu Er introduced his scalpel. Try it out. Yu Er took the scalpel and made a cut on Li Fan's arm. Normally, this saber strike would definitely split open the skin and flesh. However, blood would only flow out after a long time. But Li Fan's arm was still fine, without any injury. Yu Er frowned. He straightened Li Fan's arm and made 2 more cuts. Li Fan's arm felt like it was made of steel. Yu Er's scalpel almost curled up. Didn't you say that your scalpel can easily cut flesh and bones? Li Fan asked with a chuckle. Looks like it won't work. I'll just say that you didn't do a good job with the infrastructure, right? You've already dispersed your cultivation. Do you have bronze skin and iron bones? More or less. Li Fan replied half-truthfully. Even if the cultivation in my dantian is dispersed, the cultivation I've cultivated into my bones won't disperse. So what if I have bronze skin and iron bones? The best part is yet to come. Even if you're a zenith heavenly immortal, you'll still have to submit to me. Yu Er took out a small and exquisite remote control. Even if you can withstand the knife, you won't be able to withstand the electric chair. I'll give it a try. Li Fan's smile irritated Yu Er. It wasn't like he hadn't gnawed on tough bones before. But this time, Li Fan made him feel uncertain. Yu Er used to be a gangster in the pugilistic world. He had a nasty personality and was an opportunist. His martial arts weren't that impressive, but he was good at flattery. Later on, he met the Sima family by chance and became their guest. Yu Er was a smart man. Even though he was arrogant and domineering in the outside world, he was as obedient as a dog in front of Sima Hui. He could come up with some bad ideas, which helped Sima Hui a little. Later on, when Sima Hui wanted to renovate the Sky Prison, Yu Er was the only person close to him. Thus, he sent him here to be the prison's warden. Logically speaking, this was a boring job. After all, it would be difficult to return to the shore after coming here. But Yu Er was an exception. He enjoyed his life here, punishing the criminals sent here every day. There was nothing more delightful than watching these martial arts experts crumble under his methods. The remote control in his hand was in charge of adjusting the electricity of the chair. There were 3 levels of electricity. The first level was 220 V. If a normal person was electrocuted, they would either die or be crippled. But it was perfect for electrocuting martial artists. It would cause them pain, but it wouldn't endanger their lives. The second grade had a voltage of 500 V. That was deadly. If this strike landed on an ordinary person's body and they didn't die, they would have to be extremely lucky to not die. If a martial artist was hit, he would be half dead. The highest voltage was 1000 V. This was the last resort, used to kill. It wasn't useful if he didn't kill. Yu Er pushed it to first, wanting to make Li Fan suffer first. But when the electric current hit Li Fan, nothing happened. Li Fan was humming a little tune, happily following the rhythm of the serenade. Can you change it to something with a stronger beat? Let's go with the most dazzling ethnic style. Dazzling my ass. Yu Er immediately pushed it to second level. 500 V was enough to take away half your life. A purple glow appeared in Li Fan's eyes. The electricity was definitely working. But Li Fan still maintained a relaxed expression and said, "No, it's not enough. Again. Do you think your son will Kong?" Even though the higher-ups had given orders not to kill Li Fan, it was Yu Er's first time encountering such a criminal. He hesitated, unsure if he should push to third level. If he electrocuted Li Fan to death and Sima Hui blamed him, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. If he electrocuted Li Fan and Sima Hui blamed him, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Li Fan laughed. "You don't even dare to kill me." Li Fan laughed, "You don't even dare to kill me." Yu Er calmed down after hearing Li Fan's words. Yu Er quietened down after hearing Li Fan's words. "Looks like 1000 V won't be able to kill you. Or maybe you're just trying to scare me, to make me doubt myself and not dare to use third level." He turned to look at Li Fan. That's why I want to try. Chapter 1198. Yu steeled his heart and pushed the remote control to third gear. In an instant, the lights in the room flickered as if a devil had descended. Li Fan's hair was trembling from the electricity, like a lion king. Actually, it wasn't just his hair. If not for his clothes, his hair would be standing on end. After 10 seconds of electricity, Yu switched off the electric chair. He was afraid that Li Fan would die. If he really died from the electricity, he would be finished. The lights came back on and the light shone on Li Fan's face. It was rosy and completely fine. Li Fan chuckled as he looked at the person in front of him. I'm a little hungry. How's the food? Yu was trembling with anger. Was there an end to this? Not even this. Who could withstand 1,000 volts of electricity? Was Li Fan really a monkey made of steel? Yu was furious and subconsciously pushed the remote to third gear. A strong electric current immediately coursed through Li Fan's body, causing Li Fan to tremble slightly. Even for Li Fan, 1,000 volts did not affect him at all. After all, he still had a human body, unlike the dragon lady, who was a fierce dragon. In the past, Li Fan had stored a portion of electricity in his body. He could freely convert electricity and true qi through exercise and cultivation. However, after Murongbo sucked it clean, the electricity was also sucked clean by him. Although Li Fan cultivated his true qi again, he did not touch the electric switch again. This time, Yu did not stand on ceremony and provided him with a lot of electricity. This way, the lightning palm that Li Fan had learned from the dragon lady was more or less enough. Seeing Li Fan's eyes light up but not making a sound, Yu felt apprehensive in his heart. Could it work or not? Why wasn't Li Fan making a sound? Was it painful or not? Give me a definite answer. Was this little tyrant really that stubborn? Was he really going to endure it? His guess was right. Li Fan had absorbed a lot of electricity and had really reached an upper limit. With Li Fan's current physique, it was not enough to absorb any more. Right now, he had cultivated to the standard of an 8-star cultivator and had yet to reach the 9-star level. There was a limit to what his body could endure. If he continued to absorb electricity, he would explode and die. However, he really gritted his teeth. He could not admit defeat. If he were to admit defeat, what would happen to his reputation as the little tyrant? Damn it, isn't it just 1,000 volts? I want to see how much I can withstand it. Li Fan began to adjust his dantian, allowing it to flow faster. The essence in his body slowly circulated, forming a small vortex that absorbed the surrounding electricity. The vortex seemed to have come to life. The stronger the electricity, the stronger the suction. When the power was slightly weaker, it would slow down. At the same time, Li Fan channeled the excess electricity through his feet into the alloy floor below. The floor was originally insulated, but Li Fan used his own essence energy to forcefully create a passageway and send the electricity away. This time, the electricity lasted for more than a minute. Li Fan was still sitting there. His face turned pale for a moment before turning red again. Yu was puzzled. Was something wrong? Would Li Fan eat electricity? Sir, if this goes on, the submarine's electricity will be overloaded, the assistant reminded him. The lights in the cabin flickered non-stop. The red warning light was already on. Even though the submarine was powered by nuclear energy, the electricity was also rated. Once it was overloaded, the submarine would definitely be in trouble. Yu switched off the switch. The lights in the cabin flickered a few times before returning to normal. The red light went off and the strange atmosphere disappeared. Yu looked at Li Fan and gritted his teeth. This kid was simply a piece of iron plate. He couldn't be kicked or hit. Li Fan, do you think I can't do anything to you? Yu cursed inwardly. He really had to think of a way to torture this Li Fan. He had no choice but to send Li Fan back to his cell. Back in his cell, Li Fan could finally relax. This was his first battle with Yu Er and Li Fan had won. But Yu Er wasn't going to let Li Fan off just like that. He would probably find other ways to torture him. It seemed like it was impossible to cultivate in this place. Since it's impossible, I'll just complete the mission. Li Fan stood up from the hard bed. This broken bed wasn't even comfortable to sleep on. He might as well sit on the electric chair. Li Fan walked to the door of the cell, glanced at the Imperial Guard standing outside the door, and asked him. "Friend, can I ask you something?" "Shut up." The Royal Guard scolded. "Who the fuck allowed you to speak? Do you know where this is?" The Royal Guard was overjoyed. This was the little tyrant, and now he was watching over him. No matter if he was a dragon or a tiger, he was like a grandson in front of him. "I just want to ask you something." "Fuck you." Just as the Royal Guard scolded again, Li Fan suddenly stretched out his hand. His palm directly pierced through the tempered glass as if it was a window made of paper. Before the Royal Guard could react, Li Fan's hand was already like an iron hoop, locking this person's neck. Li Fan only stretched out 3 fingers, and it was enough to lock this person's neck so tightly that he couldn't even breathe. Hero. I was wrong, please spare me, I want to ask you something. Speak. Speak. This little one will tell you everything I know. This person was already terrified, and he was about to pee his pants. This was a specially tempered glass, and it was actually broken with a single palm. This little tyrant was too strong. Could it be that even the cultivation dispersing pill was useless? Do you know of a person called Professor Kai? As Li Fan spoke, the surrounding alarms were already ringing. This was a comprehensive prison. When Li Fan broke through the cell, he was already discovered. I really don't know. The Royal Guard's legs were trembling, and he was trembling. He was quite afraid that he would die here. There was no one who wasn't afraid of death. To say that someone wasn't afraid of death was because there was something wrong with his mind. Then you sleep for a while. Li Fan couldn't be bothered to take his life. He exerted strength in his palm, and directly knocked this person out. Then, he broke the glass and took off this person's clothes. After entering the prison, Li Fan's outer clothes were also taken off. Inside were all white short sleeves and shorts, to ensure that they didn't have any weapons on them. Li Fan also didn't want to go out and show off in this outfit. This Royal Guard's figure was similar to his, and it was just right for him to wear. The material of this black suit was not bad. According to General Ran, it seemed to be made of special nanomaterial. Even if he wore it, he wouldn't feel constrained. The ventilation was also not bad, and the warmth was also strong. Wearing it, it was warm in winter and cool in summer. It's not bad. In the urgent alarm, Li Fan touched the material of his suit. Later, I will ask old Ran for a few more. As he spoke, several guards had already rushed in front of him. Chapter 1199. On this floor, there were a total of 12 guards. The leader of these 12 people was an artillery rank cadre, the only one wearing a white suit. They did not expect that someone could actually escape from prison. All of them had taken the strength dispersing pill, so their cultivation was at most at the acme of perfection. Furthermore, Li Fan had taken more than 1 pill. According to the higher-ups, Li Fan was special and had eaten 9 pills in a row. After eating these 9 pills, not to mention Li Fan, even a Daluo Golden Immortal would not be able to withstand it. Who would have thought that Li Fan cultivated elemental energy? With just a small trick, he was able to neutralize the 9 heartless strength-dispersing pills. At this moment, Li Fan had changed into a black suit and looked very handsome. His valiant aura caused the guards in front of him to be startled. What a martial arts hero! Did he really disperse his cultivation? His eyes were shining and his temples were bulging. One look and you could tell that he had the demeanor of a martial arts expert. Stop! The leader of the artillery rank cadre was also nervous. However, if he could subdue this little tyrant, his career would definitely soar. As the saying goes, people die for wealth and birds die for food. He pointed at Li Fan and cursed, "Don't you know what kind of place this is? How dare you escape from prison? If you know what's good for you, quickly surrender. Otherwise, I will take your life." Li Fan smiled. He tidied up his suit and crooked his finger at the white suit cadre. "Come, let's play. Go." The 11 black-suited guards obeyed the order and directly stepped forward, surrounding Li Fan in the center. The leader wanted to fight for credit and was holding a mo dao in his hand. This mo dao was 1.5 meters long and its handle was 40 centimeters long. In front of its head was a sharp blade like a spear. It was a long-handled weapon invented in the Tang dynasty. In the Tang dynasty, there was a world-famous mo dao team with extremely strong attack power. Li Fan's own escort trained the shield sword team, which was different from the mo dao team. The mo dao team pursued attack while the shield sword team researched both offense and defense. Not to mention the shield sword team, the mo dao team used the mo dao team as a spear. He used the mo saber in his hand as a spear. He aimed it at Li Fan's lower abdomen and stabbed it. Stabbing the throat required skill. The throat was big and could be easily pierced. Stabbing the throat required skill. A person's throat was huge. Putting aside the fact that it was easy to miss, if the other party was agile, they could easily dodge it by tilting their head. However, he was stabbing the abdomen. The abdomen was very wide and had a high hit rate. Li Fan stretched out 2 fingers and flicked the blade of the sword. Clang! With a crisp sound, the modeo was deflected and stabbed to the side. At the same time, Li Fan chopped the guard's neck with his palm like a knife. He showed mercy and did not kill him, only knocking him out. Li sword of Li of Li Fan. He were of the guard of. The guard managed to escape with his life. Li Fan was in a good mood at the moment. More guards stepped forward and stabbed Li Fan's heart with their mo swords. Li Fan placed one hand behind his back and extended 2 fingers from his other hand. He kept flicking the mo dao team in front of him. At the same time, he struck the guard's forehead and knocked him out. After a few hits, 6 guards were lying on the ground and would not wake up for a while. The remaining 5 guards were frightened by Li Fan. They cowered in front of the cannon-level cadre and did not dare to make any movements. The cannon-level cadre was no longer as arrogant as before. As the saying goes, when an expert makes a move, it will be obvious. Li Fan knocked down a few guards with a few moves. The demeanor of an expert was fully displayed. The cannon-level cadre pondered in his heart. This was not a competition of the same level. They were not his match at all. "Come, let me ask you." Li Fan asked the cannon-level cadre. This brother slowly retreated as if he was afraid. "I told you to come forward and talk." Li Fan glared and reached out his hand. This cannon-level cadre was directly sucked into his hand from a distance of more than 10 meters. Li Fan lifted the artiller-level cadre's neck into the air and questioned him directly. "Let me ask you. Do you know someone called Professor Kai?" "I don't know any Professor Kai or Professor Fan." The cannon-level cadre turned his head and said, "I don't have much patience." Li Fan extended 2 fingers and tapped on the cannon-level cadre's acupuncture points. A heart-wrenching pain flowed through the cannon-level cadre's meridians. Wherever it passed, it felt like needles were drilling into it. It was so painful that the cannon-level cadre screamed, "Spare me! Hero, spare me!" This brother did not resist and begged for mercy. The surrounding guards did not laugh at their leader. At this moment, there was no one who was not afraid of Li Fan. This guy is too scary. To be able to suck a person into his hand from a distance of more than 10 meters, what kind of skill is this? It seems like the cultivation dispersing pill is just like candy to him. Then why don't you say it? In the research room. Close the research room. No, not. This cannon-level cadre shook his head. Before he could finish his words, a red light suddenly flew from the side. Following that, a red dagger the length of a finger pierced his temple and took his life. Li Fan was somewhat surprised. He was too focused on his question that he did not notice the hidden weapon. However, from this, it can be seen that the person who threw the hidden weapon is also a hidden weapon expert. At least, he is much more skilled than Yin Tian Tian. Li Fan threw the corpse to the side and looked at the dozens of guards that appeared in front of him. There were not many guards on this floor, only 12. The cannon-level cadre who just died was the person in charge of this floor. But now that something happened, all the guards came and surrounded Li Fan tightly. And the leader is a minister-level cadre. He is wearing a white suit with a black tie. Other than his clothes, this person is a typical Jianghu person. He is a man with long hair tied into a ponytail that hangs behind him. Looking at his appearance, he has cold eyebrows and starry eyes. He is handsome, but it is a pity that he is a lackey. This minister-level cadre also has a Chinese divine weapon, which is that red dagger. This guy stretches out his hand and the red dagger is pulled out from the corpse. After shaking off the blood, it flew back to his hand. This hidden weapon skill is not bad. Li Fan praised. The other party did not reply. He flicked his hand again and the red dagger instantly appeared in front of Li Fan. Li Fan did not hesitate. He stretched out 2 fingers and gathered his yuan qi at his fingertips. He flicked the dagger. Dang! With a crisp sound, the dagger bounced off. This dagger flew far away and was caught by the minister-level cadre. Sorry, can you make way? I have something to do. Li Fan said politely, but this minister-level cadre did not want to agree. He flicked his hand and the hidden weapon flew over again. This time, it went straight for the throat, taking his soul. Chapter 1200. The Prime Minister cadre was very confident in his hidden weapon skills. There were 3 sparrows flying in the sky. If he was given a stone, he could shoot down 3 of them. It was such a beautiful hidden weapon skill. Now, he had used the dragon chip to increase his strength and even gave it to a powerful Chinese weapon. This made the Prime Minister cadre even more confident. In this world, there were not many people who could catch his hidden weapon. He swung his hand and used the best technique in his life to shoot the fastest hidden weapon, aiming straight for Li Fan's throat. This brother had never failed in using hidden weapons before. This time, he was also full of confidence. He was prepared to take Li Fan's life. Li Fan stood there leisurely, stretched out his hand, and caught this hidden weapon in his hand. This thing is not bad. Li Fan played with the dark red dagger in his hand. Is this also a Chinese weapon? Li Fan played with it for a while and asked. Give me back my weapon. The Prime Minister cadre was shocked. How could his hidden weapon be taken away? What kind of ability was this? He picked up the knife of a comrade beside him and pounced forward. The knife stabbed towards Li Fan's heart. Li Fan leaned to the side and dodged the knife. But the Prime Minister cadre was also an expert. The knife slashed horizontally. However, Li Fan had already expected such an attack. He was even faster. He slapped his hand down and slapped the Mo saber to the ground. At the same time, he sent a flying kick at the Premier cadre's chest. The other party took 2 steps back. He couldn't stabilize his body at all. After a few steps, he sat on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't beat him. The Prime Minister cadre's face was pale. I have a question. Li Fan reached out and pulled a royal guard over. He politely asked, how do I get to the laboratory? That person didn't dare to do anything wrong. He trembled and pointed to the passage beside him. Thank you. Li Fan placed him on the ground and adjusted his collar. Everyone, see you later. Li Fan turned around and walked outside, running all the way. After he entered the elevator, he realized that there was no need to ask anyone else. Every floor of the elevator was marked with information such as laboratories, command cabins, medical cabins, and so on. The laboratory was 3 floors below. Just as Li Fan was about to press the button for the elevator, the lights in the elevator immediately turned black, followed by a red light. Yu Er's voice rang out, carrying a hint of anger. Li Fan, this is my territory. Do you think you can run away? Yeah, it's not fun here. I'm going back. Ha, what a fool's dream. Just stay in the elevator until you die. The elevator was motionless, out of control. Li Fan was not in a hurry. He directly stomped his feet, and with a bang, the elevator instantly slid down. Because the elevator had an emergency brake, after Li Fan kicked the elevator down 4 or 5 floors, the emergency brake was activated and pulled the elevator to a stop. Li Fan pushed open the elevator's safety door and jumped out, landing on it. Then, he calculated the floor and jumped in front of the elevator, reaching out and pulling the elevator door open. It was indeed a laboratory outside. There were many complicated facilities, and many people in white coats hiding at the side. Many of the royal guards pointed their MO swords at the elevator door, charging at Li Fan who was about to come out. Oh, there are quite a lot of people. Looking at the group of MO swords in front of him, Li Fan smiled. Everyone, you are no match for me. Stand down. Don't listen to his lies. Attack. Yu Er was hiding somewhere, using a megaphone to give orders. The royal guards did not dare to disobey. They braced themselves and charged forward, raising their MO swords and stabbing at Li Fan in unison. What kind of inner force did Li Fan have? He stood there and spat out a mouthful of essence chi. It was as if a gust of wind had blown through the laboratory, causing the royal guards who were wielding their MO swords to sway unsteadily. Li Fan took the opportunity to dodge a MO saber. He held it in his hand and directly pierced through the heart of an imperial guard. Like skewering meat, he lifted him on the saber and threw him to the side. This time, Li Fan did not hold back. He held the MO sword like a grim reaper's scythe, reaping the lives of 5 royal guards in the blink of an eye. The remaining royal guards finally knew fear. This young man in a black suit was not an opponent they could face. What should they do? Run? That was impossible. The warden would not let them off. Fight? That was courting death. Who else wants to die? Li Fan said coldly while holding the MO dao that was dripping with blood, scaring the rest of the imperial guards into running away like rabbits. Yu Er couldn't stop him no matter how hard he tried. Yu Er, don't you have any good helpers? Li Fan stretched his muscles and bones, bored to death. There's no point in fighting like this. Li Fan, don't you dare be so arrogant. Yu Er cursed. I still have a secret weapon. Oh. Then hurry up and take it out, lest I get bored. I do have a weapon, but Li Fan, you'd better think this through. Yu Er warned Li Fan. You're a criminal now. If you break out of prison, you'll be defying the law. Whose law? Li Fan laughed. The law of your royal guards has nothing to do with me. I'm the sword of the state, above all the laws. I'm only here to have fun. Now that I've lost interest in young master, I'd like to see who can stop me. Is that so? Then take a look and see who this is. A platform rose from the side, a person chained to it. This person had a dignified appearance and a burly build. He did not look like an ordinary person. He wore a black prison uniform and was chained up, but he did not seem dispirited at all. His eyes were still bright and full of life. Yu Er, you dog, you're finally willing to let me out? The speaker was none other than the head of the Murong family, Murong Bo. Murong Bo. Cut the crap. I'm giving you a chance to atone for your crimes. Kill Li Fan and you'll be spared the death penalty. Yu Er yelled through the speaker. How noisy. Murong Bo looked at Li Fan in front of him. I didn't expect you to come out earlier than me. I didn't expect the once mighty Manor Lord Murong to become a prisoner today. TSK, see, this is the fate of a lackey. What in the world can lock me up? Murong Bo laughed heartily. I'm here to find a suitable place to kill you. As he spoke, Murongbo shook his wrist and broke free of the chains, slowly walking down. Yu Er was dumbfounded, not making a sound. You have nowhere to run now that you're here. Besides, my daughters aren't here, so no one will be able to protect you. Murongbo walked forward as he spoke. His feet left fingernail-deep footprints on the ground. Chapter 12:01. This is not some marble floor but an alloy floor. To be able to be stepped on by Murongbo and leave such a mark, it is absolutely shocking. Li Fan crosses his arms and stands in front of Murongbo without any fear. Although Murongbo is strong, he is an enemy that he must face in the process of growing up. If he can't defeat Murongbo, it will be difficult for him to advance in the future. Li Fan, this is your grave. I feel that the feng shui here is quite suitable for you. Li Fan points around. Look, don't you like it? I'll pull out your annoying tongue first. As Murongbo speaks, he looks at Li Fan and inhales through the air. His devil technique has already reached great success and his ability to absorb people is also extremely strong. After absorbing Li Fan's Star Luo divine technique, it has become even more magical. He stretches out his hand and Li Fan feels a force grabbing his body out of nowhere, pulling his body towards Murongbo's direction. But Li Fan takes a horse stance, his feet are rooted firmly on the ground. But the royal guards beside him can't do it. One by one, they are pulled over by this attraction force and sucked in front of Murongbo. These royal guards that are close to Murongbo immediately begin to age. Their vitality is forcibly extracted and entered into Murongbo's body. There seems to be some green light in the air, separated from the royal guards and then is sucked in by Murongbo's nose. In this breath, Murongbo seems to become stronger. Li Fan, although your 7-hero fist is not bad. But this 9 Buddha Sutra is the truly powerful one. Murongbo says with a smile, I'm afraid you still don't know the real magical effect of the 9 Buddha Sutra. I raised thousands of devil cubs, absorbing their power day and night, and only then did I comprehend a little bit of the 9 Buddha Sutra. But I didn't expect that you could comprehend a complete set of mental cultivation methods with just a few remnant pages. The 9 Buddha scripture is indeed good. If I want to learn it, Imperial Consort Zhou can teach me at any time. But what's the use of learning this kind of predecessor's martial arts? Only by practicing it yourself can it be considered real martial arts. So young, but so ambitious. Murong's blog looked at Li Fan. You gave up on the 9 Buddha Sutra, but didn't you still learn the 9 Truths Essential Technique and cultivate primordial chi? The 9 Truths Essential Technique is a philosophy, not a martial art. Li Fan watched Murong throw the bodies of the royal guards aside and reminded him, since you're so arrogant today, I'll beat you up with the 7 gallant fists. With that, Li Fan stood there and hooked his finger at Murong. Old dog Murong. Bring it on. Fine, I'll also let you know what the true use of the 9 Buddha Sutra is. As Murong's blog spoke, his body suddenly emitted a large green radiance. The green radiance became more and more intense. Murong's blog was like a big light bulb, illuminating the entire laboratory. The green radiance suddenly retracted and converged into Murong's eyes. His eyes seemed to be burning with green flames. This is the true essence of the 9 Buddha Sutra. Murong's blog's body emitted a powerful aura, causing Li Fan to be secretly alarmed. Flame palm. Murong's blog raised his hand, and his palm suddenly turned emerald green like jade. His body moved so fast that one could not see it clearly. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in front of Li Fan, and his palm struck towards Li Fan's forehead. Li Fan subconsciously raised his hand and used Ursa Major Seal to meet it. Bang! The two collided and separated. Li Fan slid back by 3 meters, and Murong's blog also took 2 steps back. A burning sensation made Li Fan's palm hurt. In the past, his flame palm was extremely fierce, and one palm could explode the opponent's body. But Murong's green flame palm was extremely soft, and it allowed the energy to enter his body and cause destruction, which was even more terrifying. But the most terrifying thing was that when he exchanged blows with Murong's palm, a lot of the essence in his body was sucked away. In the past, he could only absorb essence chi, but now he could even absorb essence chi. If this continued, it would be disadvantageous to him. Murong's blog did not give Li Fan any time to react. He once again moved forward and used his flame palms, aiming straight for Li Fan's vital points. Li Fan used his crane hand and slapped away Murong's palm. But just as he thought, every time he attacked, the opponent's burning and gravitational force would constantly weaken his strength. Ha! Li Fan suddenly used a fierce tiger roar, causing Murong's blog to take a step back. At the same time, Li Fan also got a chance to catch his breath. He took 3 steps back, suppressed the burning pain, and readjusted his aura. Li Fan, do you know fear now? Murong's blog laughed. Do you really think that you can defeat me, Murong's blog, just because you have cultivated essence chi? I, Murong's blog, have roamed the pugilistic world for decades, sweeping across the pugilistic world. You can cultivate essence chi, I can also cultivate Yin arts. Sure enough, Li Fan frowned. Murong's words confirmed his guess. The essence chi in his body had also undergone a qualitative change, from essence chi to the so-called Yin arts. That old dog Murong was indeed abnormally strong. His essence chi was extremely young and firm, while the other party's Yin arts were soft and sinister, one was positive and the other was negative. Alright, now you can die knowing why you're dying. Murong's blog said as he directly entered the second stage of martial god, allowing the golden god of war armor to be draped over his body. This laboratory space was small, not suitable to release the martial god true body. But the second stage of martial god true body was clearly more convenient to operate. And the armor on Murong's body slowly turned dark green, confirming the attribute of his power. Li Fan did not dare to be negligent, he quickly put on the flying lion armor and entered the strongest state. Flame palm. Murong's blog instantly arrived in front of Li Fan, and his palm went straight for Li Fan's chest. Li Fan leaned to the side, avoiding Murong's palm technique. At the same time, he grabbed a ball of white chi bead, and with a dragon spitting pearl, he hit Murong's shoulder. Murong did not dodge, and took Li Fan's dragon spitting pearl head-on. But the power of the dragon spitting pearl was like a clay ox entering the sea, most of it was absorbed by Murong's body. The remaining small part, which could not be of much use, was shattered by Murong's protective aura. He turned around, and his palm grabbed Li Fan's neck, locking his body, and at the same time began to desperately absorb Li Fan's essence chi. Li Fan was shocked in his heart, but his reaction was very fast. He pushed his hands forward, and his fingers pierced towards Murong Bo's eyes. Although Murong's blog could absorb power, his eyes were not made of iron. If he was stabbed by Li Fan, he would become blind. He did not dare to be negligent, and immediately pushed his palm, sending Li Fan flying. Li Fan somersaulted in the air and landed on the ground again. The current Murong's blog was like a human-shaped black hole, too troublesome. Chapter 1202. Li Fan, don't resist. You're no match for me. Murong Bo calmly looked at Li Fan who he had thrown out. Although I don't like you, it doesn't affect my admiration for you. As a young man from an ordinary family, it's indeed praiseworthy that you can grow to this stage. Murong Bo raised his Yin art. The green light on his body seemed to be burning. You created the 7 heroes fist and can even rival me. This makes me see the shadow of myself in the past. If you were my subordinate, I would be very willing to nurture you. After all, I don't have a son. As for Jiang Feng, he's also a disloyal person and can't be of much use. But unfortunately, you got close to my daughter. To me, both of my daughters are treasures. With your background, you don't deserve to be their partner. After saying so many high-sounding words, it still means the same thing. Li Fan laughed. You're a perverted daughter complex, hugging your own daughters and refusing to let go. It's also their misfortune that Murong Ying and Murong love a father like you. Bullshit. Do you know how much I love them? Do you know what a father's love is like? You shameless, despicable, pretty boy. With that, Murong Bo roared. Just as he was about to make a move, Li Fan was faster and slapped him across the air. Dragon King Seal. Bang! Murong Bo subconsciously used his hands to protect his body and stood in place. A huge palm print appeared on the alloy wall behind him. Those who didn't know would really think that it was a slap from a dragon god. Although his body absorbed some of the vital energy from the palm, Murong Bo still suffered a certain impact. His armor also made a squeezing sound. He raised his head again and looked at Li Fan, who was standing opposite him. I also advise you not to underestimate my 7 heroes fist. Perverted daughter complex. Ridiculous. Murong Bo once again activated his Yin skill. With a flick of his feet, he instantly appeared in front of Li Fan and directly slapped Li Fan's cheek with a flame palm. Li Fan was not careless either. He had already raised his essence chi to the extreme. Li Fan tilted his head slightly and dodged Murong's palm strike. At the same time, he struck Murong Bo's acupuncture point with the white crane nod. The smallest contact surface could reduce the absorption of vitality. Moreover, the white crane's nod was not light at all. After taking a hit from Li Fan, Murong seemed to be unscathed. She launched another flame palm at Li Fan. Li Fan wasn't able to dodge it completely. In the process of retreating, he also took a few blows from Murong. But his white crane nod also hit Murong many times. Bam! Murong Bo suddenly slapped Li Fan's chest. Li Fan took 2 steps back and half knelt on the ground. The burning sensation went straight to his heart, causing Li Fan's body to tremble in pain. Ha ha ha, Li Fan, your time of death has come. Murong Bo was very excited. He quickly stepped forward, raised his Yin skill to the peak, and slapped Li Fan's forehead. But at this moment, his body suddenly stiffened and he knelt in front of Li Fan. This is... Murong Bo felt that he temporarily lost control of his body. I have hit 18 of your acupuncture points. Li Fan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Murong Bo, revealing a smile. You are too confident, Murong Bo. The one who is going to die is not me. With that, Li Fan stood up, stretched out his right hand and slowly opened it. Crane. Li Fan's crane directly pierced Murong Bo's left eye. A wet and sticky eyeball was pulled out by Li Fan. Ow! Murong Bo screamed in pain. His acupuncture point was originally locked, but at this time, it was forcibly torn open. Boom! A strong Yin skill erupted from Murong Bo's body, impacting Li Fan's body, sending him flying out and landing in the distance. Li Fan felt a little regretful. He originally wanted to blind Murong Bo. But he only had time to blind one, and the other was dodged. Who would have thought that Murong Bo would forcibly remove his restriction? Li Fan guessed that after losing an eye, Murong Bo should be a little unhappy now, right? Li Fan, I want your life. Murong Bo seemed to have gone berserk. He was already so old, but he was tricked by Li Fan. In addition to the pain of losing an eye, he was abnormally furious. The old man took a few steps forward, and the power of his flaming palm increased. At the same time, it had a suction force, making it difficult to dodge. Li Fan originally wanted to dodge, but the suction force forcefully pulled his head, making it impossible for him to dodge. The berserk Murong Bo seemed to be a little more troublesome. But, he could make use of his impulsive nature at this time. Li Fan stretched out his hands, blocking in front of him, and caught Murong Bo's palm. He slid backwards, and at the same time, some of his essence chi was sucked away, and his arms felt an intense burning sensation. This battle had probably greatly weakened him, just as Yuer had hoped. Li Fan retreated as he fought, and soon, he arrived at the laboratory's window. Outside the window was an endless ocean. From time to time, fish and prawns would swim by, revealing the dark and mysterious underwater world. Murong Bo raised his palm again and slapped at Li Fan. However, Li Fan was faster. He smashed the window with his palm, and the water pressure immediately shattered the entire window, causing the seawater to surge in. The submarine sounded the alarm, and the iron plates on the windows began to open, automatically sealing the place. This was the submarine's automatic trigger. Li Fan had made a bold gamble. He grabbed Murong Bo with his other hand and activated Father Bear Pile Driver. His arm became thicker, and like firing a cannon, he threw Murong Bo's body through the waves and into the deep sea the moment the door closed. In the blink of an eye, Murong Bo had already disappeared. The submarine's door was completely closed, isolating the waves and Murong Bo outside. Li Fan sat on the wet floor and heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that he wouldn't be able to trap Murong Bo for long. He had to race against time. He stood up and dried his clothes with Yuan Qi. His gaze seemed to be electrified as he searched for Professor Kai among the researchers present. Li Fan had seen Professor Kai's photo before. He was a middle-aged man with half a head of white hair. He scanned the crowd twice and found his target. Done. Li Fan walked toward Professor Kai. However, a few royal guards immediately rushed forward, stabbing at Li Fan with their mo swords. Li Fan didn't even dodge. He kicked quickly, sending the heads of the royal guards flying. His vicious methods intimidated the others, and the remaining royal guards didn't dare to move forward. Yuer's voice also disappeared. He didn't seem to know how to deal with Li Fan. Professor Kai, come with me. Li Fan reached out, parting the crowd and grabbing at Professor Kai. Who wants to go with you? This is my kingdom. Professor Kai's originally weak gaze suddenly turned sharp. Chapter 1203. Li Fan had a bad feeling, but Professor Kai had already pressed a switch. The cabin door suddenly opened, and white smoke was slowly released from the cabin door, rolling into the cabin. This white fog seemed to be very cold, even the water stains on the cabin floor were frozen. This is seawater. How could it freeze? Li Fan was a little surprised. This white fog was strange. Li Fan felt waves of cold from this white fog, even he could not help but increase the vitality in his body to protect his body, to prevent himself from freezing. Looking at the researchers, they were all shivering, their faces were pale, and their lips were blue. Within the white fog, a person's figure slowly appeared. Li Fan took a look. This guy was not someone else, he had straight eyebrows, was handsome, and had a dignified appearance. This was not someone else, it was him. A clone. Li Fan already knew his identity. This guy was wearing a black and white close-fitting special combat suit, there was a metal edge in between his eyebrows, it seemed to be some kind of chip. He closed his eyes, stood there, and let the white fog flow on his body. This is your clone. Although Professor Kai was freezing, he was very excited to introduce to Li Fan, his body is made up of your genes, and some of the genes of other martial arts experts, and even mutants. You should have seen one before, the one who can control flames, he is named number 1. But I have given them a new name, he is called Heaven's Chosen number 2. So, you are willing to be a dog for the Imperial Army? Nonsense. Professor Kai sneered, his eyes flashing with fanaticism, we are all working for the government, isn't it the same everywhere? Moreover, here, I can research my human cloning technology unscrupulously. Human cloning technology, this technology is currently classified as a banned technology in the world. Those who have watched Schwarzenegger's The Sixth Day should know how terrifying it would be once human cloning is truly developed. And although some countries have research, they are just trying to deceive people, hiding it. This technology in China was just developed, but it was sealed. As for this submarine, it belonged to a place outside the jurisdiction of the government. Professor Kai was almost fanatical about the research of cloning. That was why when he was lured here by the royal guards, he was extremely excited, thinking that he had found a home. Li Fan could see the fanaticism in his eyes. He knew that Dr. Kai would not go back with him. But a mission was a mission. No matter what, Li Fan would take him away from here and escort him back to General Ran. When he arrived, General Ran would naturally put him on trial. Or rather, They wanted him to atone for his crimes and continue to contribute to protecting Huaxia. However, this was General Rant's problem. Let that guy worry about it himself. Heaven's Chosen One, activate. Professor Kai seemed very excited to see the activation of Heaven's Chosen One. This was a good opportunity to test number 2's data. He had to record it properly. After receiving the order, Li Fan's clone finally moved. He slowly opened his eyes. Unlike Li Fan, his pupils were glowing red. Heaven's Chosen One leaped and instantly appeared in front of Li Fan. At the same time, he slammed his palm down on Li Fan's forehead. This person's palm carried a strong cold air. Before it reached him, Li Fan's body was already cold and he was shivering. Damn, this thing is so fierce. In terms of strength, it seems to be much stronger than Li Fan -1. Li Fan instinctively rolled sideways and landed to the side. Frost erupted from Heaven's Chosen One's palm. The place where Li Fan stood just now exploded into a cold crystal. It froze there, emitting a strong chill. Fuck, Li Fan wanted to curse. This thing is a little too fierce. That was not the end. Heaven's Chosen One landed on the ground and opened his palm at Li Fan, who was standing in the distance. Frost condensed in his palm. Soon, a row of ice needles the size of a fountain pen condensed and shot at Li Fan. Dang dang dang. Li Fan waved his crane hand and continuously slapped away the ice needles in front of him. The ice needles were extremely fast. 9 shots at a time, one after another, like a machine gun. Li Fan actually could not handle it. Heaven's Chosen One was a combination of a mutant gene and a martial fighter gene. It was already very difficult to deal with. Furthermore, Li Fan had just fought a big battle with Murong. His stamina was now weak. Dragging it out was not a solution. He had to end the battle quickly. Li Fan quickly mobilized the Yuan Qi in his body and struck a Lion King punch at Heaven's Chosen One. Bam, bam, bam. The Lion King punch broke through the ice needles. Li Fan took the opportunity to quickly teleport in front of Heaven's Chosen One. At the same time, he raised his palm and with a knife hand posture, he slammed it directly on Heaven's Chosen One's forehead. Heavenly Punishment. Lightning Palm was one of the dragon combat techniques he learned from Dragon Lady. Li Fan modified it and named it Heavenly Punishment. Dragon combat techniques were divided into 4 elements: wind, fire, thunder, and water. Li Fan learned the Thunder Dragon race's combat technique from Dragon Lady. This lightning palm could be said to be the most basic palm technique. However, Li Fan only had a mortal body. He did not have the power of thunder in his body. However, he could absorb electricity and use it in place of the power of thunder. Moreover, Li Fan combined this lightning palm with God slaying. He used his knife hand to replace the sword and turned his palm into lightning. It was even more powerful. Therefore, he named this move Heavenly Punishment. Crackle. The electric light exploded on top of Heaven's Chosen One's head. Heaven's Chosen One instantly knelt down. His body was covered in electric sparks and he could not move for a long time. Heavenly Punishment. Second Strike. Li Fan waved his knife hand again and split Heaven's Chosen One's body into 2. The upper half of Heaven's Chosen One's body flew out and the lower half of his body knelt there. Li Fan heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this clone did not have much intelligence. It would definitely not end well for him to take his heavenly punishment head-on. Heaven's Chosen One is not so easily defeated. Professor Kai's expression was a little distorted. Li Fan was just about to laugh at him, but he stopped. Suddenly, many black tentacles flew out from the cut of the Heaven's Chosen One's corpse that was cut in half. They grabbed the researchers and the Imperial Guards and sucked away their flesh and blood. Those people did not even have the time to scream before they turned into a pile of bones. Li Fan was stunned. This thing was even scarier than a monster. Before Li Fan could figure it out, 2 tentacles had already shot towards him. These tentacles were as thick as 2 fingers, but they were extremely dangerous. Get lost. Li Fan swung his knife hand and the tentacles were cut off in the electric light. There was a heavy knocking sound outside the submarine, as if someone was knocking on the door. That Murong Bo was probably coming in soon. Chapter 1204. Murong was slamming into the outer wall of the submarine while the Chosen One was devouring the lives of the people in the laboratory. Li Fan didn't have time to hesitate. He immediately jumped to Dr. Kai's side and grabbed him in his hand. What are you doing? Let go of me. Professor Kai screamed. Li Fan slapped him unconscious and carried him on his shoulder. According to General Rand's information, there should be an emergency escape route in the Sky Prison. Li Fan had seen it in the elevator previously. It was 1 floor below. Without any hesitation, he carried Professor Kai and ran to the elevator. Li Fan was as fast as the wind. He used his qinggong to the extreme. His feet almost left the ground. He stepped in the air and arrived at the elevator in a few steps. At this time, the Chosen One had finished replenishing his nutrients and reconnected his body. He was slowly getting up. There was also a huge bump on the wall of the submarine. It was obviously caused by Murong. To be able to unleash such power in the deep sea, Murong was indeed powerful. Li Fan didn't have time to think. He carried the unconscious Professor Kai and jumped into the elevator shaft. Then, he kicked open the door to the next floor. Rows of hatches were placed in front of Li Fan. He could hear Yuer's roar as if he was giving orders. The submarine was in a mess. Yuer must be very distressed. Li Fan couldn't be bothered with him. He opened a sealed hatch and threw Professor Kai in. There was a small space of 1 square meter inside the hatch. There was a round window the size of a palm outside that allowed one to see the bottom of the sea. As Li Fan and the rest entered the cabin, the hatch closed immediately. The cabin shook slowly and a woman's countdown echoed in the cabin. Countdown to the launch of the escape pod. 10, 9, 8, Li Fan tried his best to calm himself down. They had already escaped this far. There should be no problem. At this time, there was a loud bang outside the window. Murong's huge face was right in front of Li Fan, glaring at him with his only eye. This old fart actually chased him all the way here. How did he keep up with her? However, the countdown in the cabin had already reached the end. The entire cabin suddenly trembled, and with a thud, it was ejected from the submarine. Li Fan grabbed the railing with both hands to prevent himself from falling. As for Murong, she had been left behind. She didn't know if she could keep up. However, this escape pod was equipped with an underwater booster. After it was launched, it shot towards the surface of the water like a missile. At this speed, humans could not catch up with it underwater. In the time it took to breathe, bright sunlight shone through the window. Li Fan looked out. The escape pod had already left the bottom of the water and rose to the surface of the water. It floated alone on the surface of the sea, gently swaying with the waves. No matter what, he had escaped for the time being. He pushed open the hatch at the top of the escape capsule, jumped out of the heavy cabin, and stood on the top of the escape capsule. In front of him was a vast ocean. Li Fan had no idea where he was. However, it didn't matter. General Ran had implanted a chip under the skin of his forearm. This was not a dragon chip, but it was used for emergency positioning. In the past, Li Fan didn't want to get it, but this time it really came in handy. As soon as he appeared, the signal jamming device of the submarine lost its effect. General Ran should be able to quickly locate him and send someone to pick him up. However, there was still a group of terrifying guys underwater. Li Fan had to stay away for the time being. After the escape pod reached the surface of the water, it was useless. It was basically a moving coffin. Li Fan's feet stepped on the top of the escape pod. His feet seemed to have taken root, and he used his vital energy to suck the escape pod tightly. At the same time, Li Fan pushed out his palm and pushed the escape pod far away with his primordial chi on the water surface. Li Fan didn't know where to go. Anyway, he just needed to stay away from the submarine. An hour later, Li Fan was already very far away. It was estimated that the group of people would not be able to catch up. Only then did he feel a little relieved. He let the escape pod float quietly on the surface of the water, and he sat cross-legged on the top of the pod. He felt the sea breeze blowing while he meditated. He didn't have the spirit recovering pill to replenish his vital energy, so he could only rely on himself to recover by meditating. Fortunately, Li Fan had a pure yang body and practiced the 9 truths technique. His vital energy recovery speed was much faster than ordinary people. After meditating for a long time, the sky gradually turned dark. Dr. Kai slept very deeply. The blow from Li Fan would make an ordinary person sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. When he was almost done adjusting his vital energy, Li Fan opened his eyes. The sun had already sunk halfway into the sea, and half of the sea was dyed red. It was as if a dye vat had been overturned. Li Fan looked into the distance. This was the first time he had seen such a scenery. It would be great if he could watch it with the girls in the dojo. When he went to Li Family Island, he would probably see such a scenery often. When that time came, he would prepare a villa overlooking the sea on Li Family Island and live with his beloved. Wouldn't that be great? Li Fan stretched his back. The haze that had been hanging over him for the past few days seemed to have dissipated in this beautiful scenery. Rumble, the sound of a helicopter came from above. Li Fan looked up and saw a military transport plane flying towards them. However, the sea was vast, so it was difficult to find the exact location of the escape pod. Li Fan was confident about this. He stepped on the escape pod and the vital energy in his body flowed through the escape pod into the seawater below. The surrounding seawater was affected and slowly swirled. The seawater gradually turned into a small whirlpool, which immediately attracted the attention of the people on the helicopter. The helicopter also descended and released a rope before throwing it to Li Fan. Li Fan didn't need the rope at all. The helicopter's current altitude was just right. He grabbed the limp Dr. Kai and jumped onto the helicopter that was more than 10 meters high. The soldiers above were shocked, but when they remembered that this was the guardian of Hua Xia, the imperial sword, they quickly calmed down. This soldier had the title of captain. He saluted Li Fan. Major Li, welcome back to the team. Is there anything to eat? I'm hungry. On the submarine, Li Fan only ate steamed buns and cabbage every day. His mouth was so bland that birds were about to fly out. There's a can of instant meat. Is that okay? No problem. Li Fan licked his lips. He felt like he was possessed by a dragon girl. Even if he was given an entire cow, he would be able to eat it. Li Fan sat on a chair beside him and took the can from the captain. There was a pull ring on it. As long as he pulled it off, there would be a chemical reaction that would quickly heat up the can. This was the regular food of the army. Although it didn't taste particularly good, Li Fan really needed to replenish his protein. Just as he opened the can, a roar came from below. Chapter 1205. Li Fan lowered his head to take a look. Oh my god, that old fellow Murongbo had actually caught up to him again. The head of Murong Villa walked on the waves and caught up to the location of the escape pod in a few steps. Li Fan was a little angry. He thought to himself, I didn't lower myself to your level, but you're still incessant. Major Li, what should we do? The captain asked for Li Fan's opinion. Give me a compass, then you can go back first. Since Dr. Kai had already handed it over, the rest of the matter, Li Fan could completely rely on himself to act. Yes. The duty of a soldier was to obey orders. Since the Shangfang sword had given such an order, then they would carry it out. The captain took out a waterproof compass and handed it to Li Fan. Then, he ordered the helicopter to start pulling up. Where are you going? Murongbo bellowed and kicked the escape pod with his foot. The escape pod immediately turned into a cannonball, soaring into the sky and smashing towards the helicopter high in the sky. However, Li Fan jumped down from the helicopter. He hugged the escape pod in the air and spun around, neutralizing the upward force, and then threw it back. Murongbo stepped on the waves and raised his leg to kick the falling escape pod. The escape pod was kicked to the side and floated on the sea. Li Fan just happened to land and stepped on the escape pod, looking at Murongbo on the sea. Walking on the waves was the same principle as walking on the void. Martial fighters relied on strong internal energy to walk on the water surface and walk on the waves. However, the speed of internal energy consumption was too exaggerated. Before long, one's internal energy would be depleted. However, Murongbo was clearly an exception. As he walked on the waves, he absorbed the life force of the fish in the sea and continuously replenished his internal energy. This 9 Buddha Sutra, this guy really didn't practice for nothing. However, Murongbo no longer had the prestige of the past. At this moment, his hair was disheveled and he was blind in one eye. Li Fan, I want your life. Murongbo's remaining eye had a scarlet glow in it. It was obvious that she was extremely angry. He leaped up and landed in front of Li Fan. 2 experts stood in a small escape pod. The 2 of them unleashed all their skills and engaged in a life and death struggle above the escape pod. Before the battle between Murongbo and Li Fan could be decided, the seawater suddenly parted and another figure jumped out. The 2 of them turned around and saw that it wasn't a stranger either. It was Chosen One Number 2. This man, who looked exactly like Li Fan, was wearing a special combat suit. He spun in the air, lifted his leg, and slammed it down. White frost swirled around his feet, quickly forming a 4 to 5 meter long frost axe. Anyone who saw it would feel a chill run down their spine. Murongbo and Li Fan did not dare to be negligent. The 2 of them exchanged a palm strike and then leaped back. Bang! Number 2's foot came down, directly splitting the alloy escape capsule into 2. Li Fan and Murongbo both landed on the surface of the sea and stood on the waves at the same time. The entire escape pod was made of alloy. After it was split open, it slowly sank into the sea. Li Fan calculated the time he could stand on the waves. He could probably last about an hour. Moreover, he was definitely not a match for the 2 of them at this rate. This was not a suitable place to fight. Li Fan did not hesitate. He turned around, stepped on the waves, and quickly escaped. Where are you going? Murongbo did not even think about it and directly followed behind. The Chosen One also followed. Li Fan and Murongbo were both prisoners who had escaped from prison. His mission was to capture the 2 of them. However, in terms of Qinggong, Li Fan believed that he would not lose to anyone. He had learned the dragon combat technique from the Dragon Lady. One of the techniques was called cloud travel. He stepped on the clouds and flew in the air. To the dragon race, this was as easy as walking. However, after the dragon race transformed into a human, they needed some techniques to use the same technique. The way this technique was executed was similar to the void step. It was to step out with inner force and step into the air. At the same time, with some swaying of the waist and legs, it allowed one to swim in the air like a divine dragon. The so-called cloud travel was to move quickly in the air, just like swimming in the water. Li Fan's speed was extremely fast. Every time he moved his legs, he could jump 30 to 40 meters in the air like a swimming dragon. Although Murongbo and the Chosen One's Qinggong were also very good, none of them could catch up to Li Fan. Li Fan used cloud travel in the air and tapped on the surface of the sea from time to time to maintain support. After all, he was not a true dragon and could not fly in the air. This cloud travel had to fall once every 100 meters in the air. He needed to regenerate. After running for more than 20 minutes, Li Fan finally saw a small reef island. This reef island was not big. It was only 100 meters long and was constantly being washed by the seawater. It was smooth and slippery when stepped on. However, this was enough for Li Fan. He planted his feet on the island, his soles sinking into the reefs to stabilize himself. Li Fan stood there and quickly adjusted his breathing. Although his speed was not as fast as Murongbo's, it was still far faster than ordinary people. Not long after, those two perverts would catch up. It was better to adjust for as long as he could. Not long after, Li Fan heard a whistling sound. He opened his eyes and saw two black figures approaching quickly from afar. As expected, they came. Li Fan laughed coldly. I was waiting for them. These two were very difficult to deal with. Even if they were a distance away, they could still find his aura and catch up. If he did not defeat these two today, they would probably keep finding trouble with him. Moreover, when they were fighting just now, Li Fan realized that Murongbo's eyes had recovered a lot. It was obviously the effect of the 9 Buddha Sutra. Just like Imperial concubine Zhou, this old fellow could slowly reach an immortal state by relying on the vitality of others. This trip to the prison was too painful. He had provoked two perverts. When Li Fan was meditating just now, he was thinking about how to deal with them. The waves continued to wash against the island, and the splashes of water sank together with the setting sun. It was already late. A bright moon was slowly rising from the other side of the sea in place of the sun. Tonight's moon was round and bright. It was like a huge lamp hanging on the horizon, shining on Li Fan. As the black figure approached, Li Fan kept chanting Dragon Lady's name in his heart. He was an imperial sword and had an inexplicable tacit understanding with Dragon Lady. Although the distance was so far, it was the only way at the moment. Murongbo and Heaven's Chosen One were getting closer and closer. The two of them flew over, one on the left and one on the right. Li Fan, where do you think you're going? Discovered target 2, annihilate. The two of them quickly stepped on the sea and rushed in front of Li Fan. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes, and a smile hung on the corner of his mouth. It's here. A golden light suddenly cut through the sky. Chapter 1206. Murongbo and Heaven's Chosen One both landed in front of Li Fan. Although the two of them would fight, Li Fan was their priority. Just as the two of them landed on the island, a golden light flashed in the sky. It was like a dragon cutting through the night sky and instantly appeared in front of the three of them. Boom! The golden light hit the island, causing Heaven's Chosen One and Murongbo to take 2 steps back. A golden sword was stabbed into the ground in front of Li Fan. There was even a faint electric glow on it. The Dragon Lady had indeed heard his prayers and sent him this Shangfang sword. With this sword, Li Fan did not have to worry about not being able to defeat the two of them. The Shangfang sword was used to cut down evil spirits. Li Fan had seen it before. When Imperial concubine Zhou saw this sword, she also avoided it. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and held onto the hilt of the Shangfang sword. Little bastard, do you think you can defeat me with just a sword? Murongbo did not care about this sword at all. He stretched out his hand and the surrounding seawater was sucked over, condensing into a water sword in his palm. Imperial concubine Zhou had used this move before. Li Fan could also use it. At this moment, the water sword in the old man's hand glowed with green light. He had gathered his yin power to the extreme. Heaven's Chosen One's gaze fell on the Shangfang sword and he muttered to himself. Dangerous weapon detected. Automatically switching to weapon form. Heaven's Chosen One stretched out his right hand. Frost slowly condensed in his hand. Soon, an ice spear appeared in his hand. As the saying goes, an inch longer, an inch stronger. He held the spear in his hand and pointed it at Li Fan's throat. These two were top-notch experts. Ordinary methods would not work in a fight with them. Open! A dazzling golden light burst out from Li Fan's eyes. A strong force exploded from his body and impacted the surroundings, causing the two of them to move away. What power! Murong frowned and put her arms in front of her to block the shock wave released from Li Fan. Li Fan was wearing a golden robe with arrow sleeves. His pupils had turned completely golden. When Li Fan opened his eyes, a golden radiance was released. Murongbo was startled when he saw this. What was going on? Why was there such a terrifying pressure coming from this kid? He was already a turtle in a jar. Could it be that he still had some tricks up his sleeves? Thinking of Li Fan's black-bellied side, Murong felt a little uncertain in her heart. Without hesitation, he left as quickly as he came. The old man immediately turned around and left on the waves. So fucking smart, Li Fan had no time to chase after Murong. He had to get rid of the chosen one first. Li Fan suddenly raised his sword and pointed it at the sky. In an instant, a huge golden sword fell from the sky and directly hit the chosen one's body, cutting him into meat paste. The chosen one did not even have time to resist and was instantly killed. After Li Fan used this move, the golden light on his body slowly dissipated. The arrow's sleeves also dissipated bit by bit. He returned to his original appearance. The Shang Fang sword in his hand suddenly rose from the ground and shot into the air, disappearing without a trace. After using it, the Shang Fang sword returned to the dragon lady. Only when the dragon lady fell asleep would the Shang Fang sword truly belong to Li Fan. Moreover, the Shang Fang sword would probably not be willing to stay by Li Fan's side. Looking at the pile of minced meat on the ground, it was still wriggling slightly. Li Fan could not help but mutter in his heart. This Shang Fang sword specialized in killing evil spirits. Murong practiced evil skills and was considered an evil spirit like Imperial concubine Zhou. But the chosen one, he was an artificially created clone. Could he be considered an evil spirit? Just as Li Fan thought of this, the minced meat suddenly wriggled violently. Black tentacles popped out and quickly wrapped around Li Fan. Before death, the chosen one would absorb the surrounding flesh and blood to replenish his nutrients and reconstruct his body. However, the only flesh and blood here was Li Fan. Li Fan was shocked. He quickly reached out and waved his hand, trying to cut off these tentacles. However, there were minced meat everywhere and so were the tentacles. They wrapped around Li Fan's body crazily, leaving him nowhere to hide. Li Fan felt as if his body was about to be torn apart. These tentacles were frantically devouring his body. However, how could Li Fan admit defeat just like that? He could not die here. He let out a long roar that pierced through the clouds. Vital energy continuously emerged from his body, resisting the tearing of these tentacles. Li Fan felt as if he was playing tug-of-war with a strongman. It was a competition to see who could move the rope. However, Li Fan's strength in this tug-of-war was not small either. Golden Body. Li Fan directly used the Golden Body technique. He condensed the vital energy around his body, forming a golden shell that wrapped around him. With this enhancement, Li Fan's body was indestructible. No matter how the tentacles struggled, they could not take away any flesh and blood from Li Fan. When creating the Chosen One, they chose Li Fan's genes. This was because Li Fan was young and had potential. When he was young, his skills had shocked everyone and he had dominated the pugilistic world. Therefore, after struggling for a period of time, these nanocells slowly became confused. The real Li Fan was here. They quickly thought that this was their main body. Since they could not snatch it away, they would attach themselves to it. Soon, these cells began to enter Li Fan's body. They found the place where they should be and slowly merged with Li Fan. Li Fan was freed from the tearing pain. Soon, he felt a sense of expansion, followed by an unprecedented feeling of comfort. It was as if something in his body had been filled. Layers of black tentacles surrounded him, as if forming a black cocoon. The diamond-shaped chip also quickly drilled into Li Fan's body, trying to squeeze into his brain stem and control Li Fan's brain. However, Li Fan's mental strength was also trained. He quickly felt this threat. He immediately controlled his mental strength and used his vital energy to control his flesh and blood to resist this chip. This chip was continuously squeezed by Li Fan and could not resist. Soon, it was squeezed into his left hand by Li Fan's strength and stabbed into the back of his left hand. Meanwhile, the nanocells continued to merge with Li Fan. A layer of ice crystals formed on the outside of the black cocoon, freezing him inside. This fusion lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Within these 3 days, Murongbo had also come here once. However, he did not feel any aura. He only saw an ice crystal throne on the island. Murong did not think much of it. He thought that this was left behind after the battle between Li Fan and the Chosen One. Li Fan should have slipped away long ago. As for what happened to Murong, let's not talk about it. 3 days later, Li Fan, who was in the black cocoon, suddenly opened his eyes. Chapter 1207. After Li Fan opened his eyes looked different. At first glance, his eyes were like a pair of stars in a cold night. They were bright and full of expression, releasing an admirable spirit. Li Fan's body shook, and the ice crystal was immediately shattered. In an instant, an icy mist sprayed all over the reef island. The black cocoon was also instantly frozen into an ice cocoon, which was shattered by Li Fan. He stood up from inside and took a deep breath of fresh air. Li Fan stretched, then glanced at his left hand. There was still a diamond-shaped chip embedded in the back of his hand. It had broken through his skin just like that, revealing a section of it. It exuded a high-tech vibe. This was slightly different from the dragon chip. The dragon chip did not have autonomous control abilities, but this chip did. It had a computing device on it, and it even stored the martial arts of various sections. However, because Li Fan had forcibly separated the chip from his brain, the computing ability could not be used anymore. This thing had become a decoration. It could not be called a decoration. It should be called a time bomb. Once he weakened, this thing might go against the flow and compete with him for control of his brain. Moreover, he could not pull it off, because its only value now was to stabilize the genome in his body. There were many nanomachines in the genetic cells of the Chosen Ones. At this moment, these nanomachines were in his body and had merged with him. If he forcefully pulled this thing off, the nanomachines would lose control, and his body would suffer terrible damage. His life might even be in danger. However, there were also benefits. In addition to having the ability to use ice, his body would also quickly regenerate with the help of the nanomachines if his body was damaged. In other words, this fusion was still quite beneficial to him. Li Fan stretched out his left hand. The ability to use ice and primordial energy fused together, making his left hand look like white jade. The combination of superpowers and primordial energy should be even more powerful. Li Fan was confirming his thoughts. The power gathered on his left hand became stronger and stronger, and the surrounding temperature suddenly dropped a few degrees. After his power reached an extreme, Li Fan slammed his palm on the ground. Bang! The island under his feet suddenly turned into ice crystals and then exploded, scattering in all directions and floating in the sea. Li Fan stepped on a piece of ice and looked at the turbulent sea. He was excited. It worked. This palm was too powerful. Should he name this palm the Chosen One's palm? Pfft, why should he advertise the Chosen One? Thinking that his basic cultivation technique was the dragon fighting technique, Li Fan decided to name it after dragon fighting technique. The new cultivation method should also be settled. Li Fan had a clue in his heart. When he returned, he should start training in seclusion. Thinking of this, Li Fan stepped on the ice and judged the direction. At this time, the sun had just risen in the east. Li Fan did not even need a compass to determine the direction. Li Fan, and his body immediately leaped forward. Li Fan used a day's worth of effort. When he was tired, he found an island to meditate and rest. After replenishing his strength, he continued moving forward. After that day, he finally came across a fishing boat. He disguised himself as a victim and boarded the boat. "Friend, where are you from?" The captain looked to be in his 40s. His skin was rough, and his skin was dark. He wore a short shirt, and his body was filled with the moist aura of a man from the Yu family. After he rescued Li Fan, he asked Li Fan in a Shandong accent. This familiar voice reminded Li Fan of his dormitory boss, Wang Yang, so he felt a sense of familiarity. "How did you fall into the water?" In this vast sea, it was rare to save someone who had fallen into the water. Especially since there were no wrecked ships nearby, the shipowner could not help but ask. Father, why are you so talkative? Can't you see that I'm freezing? A 15 or 16-year-old girl with delicate and pretty features, but her skin was a bit tanned. She was carrying a set of clean clothes to give to Li Fan. In order to disguise himself better, Li Fan deliberately wet his suit. I'm just curious, you're already an adult, yet you're still so curious. I'll go get little brother to change his clothes. Keep an eye on the fishing net. With that, the girl led Li Fan into the cabin next to them. This fishing boat was not very big. It was just a small fishing boat. However, it was easy to get a fishing boat, but difficult to get a fishing license. Especially in the sea area between the Bohai Sea and the Yellow Sea, a fishing license could even be offered at a sky-high price. There were only the father and daughter on this fishing boat. The girl was very warm-hearted and put the dry clothes on the bed. Brother, you can change your clothes here. I'll help you wash your clothes. With that, he stood in the cabin with his hands clasped behind his back, showing no intention of leaving. It's not convenient for me to have you here, the girl giggled. Why are you men from the city so shy? I've seen a lot of naked men out fishing. Take it off, I'm still waiting to wash your clothes. Okay, the girl was generous, which made Li Fan look a little petty. He took off his suit, revealing his tall and strong body, which made the girl's eyes shine. Thank you. I'm not calling you, my name is Xiong Mei. The little girl said as she took Li Fan's clothes. Oh, thank you, Xiong Mei. Li Fan winked at her. This name was really a pun. Brother, you're so glib, be careful that I don't eat you. After saying that, the girl looked at Li Fan's stunned expression, smiled again and again, like a silver bell, and then skipped away. Li Fan was a little dumbfounded. This girl, what does she mean? He shook his head and put these things aside. He changed into a pair of shorts and a vest, and then walked out of the cabin. Brother, when can we get to the land? Li Fan planned to inform General Ran and the others to pick him up when he reached the shore. The night after tomorrow, we'll go back. The captain pointed to the east. We just came out a few days ago, and now we're going to cross the border to catch some fish. Cross the border to catch fish? Li Fan was a little surprised. Wouldn't it be over if we get caught? There's no other way. The boatman sat on a chair and smoked his pipe. There are almost no fish left in the fisheries in this area. Those bastards used to use the death net too much, so now everyone can only take the risk to go to the other side to catch fish. Aren't you afraid of being found? I'm afraid that I can't make money. I still have a family to support. The captain sighed. My eldest daughter is on this ship, and I have a boy under me. For that boy, my eldest daughter doesn't even go to school and fish with me to make money. I have a word. I don't know if I should say it. Li Fan's words made the captain stunned. What do you mean? Chapter 1208. The bosun does not know the meaning of this. He does not go to the net and fishes all day long. Every time he goes out, he will be out for about a month. If not for sending Li Fan off, the bosun would have to stay here for another month. They have a rule, they cannot go back empty-handed. Brother, you are valuing boys over girls. Li Fan looks at the bosun and wants to reprimand him. This kind of thinking is really scary. Since ancient times, the idea of valuing boys over girls in China is too serious. If it is Li Fan himself, he would like to have a daughter. Even if it is a girl, she can also practice martial arts and pass on martial arts to him. Little brother, you are not married yet, how would you know the difficulties of being the head of a family? The bosun sighs. If not for the fishing permit, our family would have starved to death. She is a good girl. It is a pity that she did not finish school. Li Fan felt a little regretful, but every family had their own difficulties. He couldn't care less, and he couldn't care less. However, this family is fated with him, so Li Fan still wants to contribute. How about this? You saved me, so I will thank you. After we reach the shore, I will thank you both. Use this money to send your daughter to school. Li Fan is kind, but the bosun waved his hand and rejected Li Fan's good intention. Saving people is my duty, how can I exchange my conscience for money? But, alright. Little brother, you're quite a busybody. You can stay on the boat for 2 days, I will send you to the port 2 days later. If you really want to be grateful, do more good deeds later. This bosun is an honest person, he does not want Li Fan's money no matter what. Compared to him, Li Fan felt that he was indeed a little stinking of money. He does not say anything else, he only stands at the bow and looks at the vast sea. Not far ahead is the fishing area of South Korea. Once they enter the fishing area, the bosun will be able to complete his mission. He even took out a South Korean flag and stuck it on the fishing boat to confuse others. Will this work? Li Fan still felt unsafe. In the past, he had always seen news of South Korea capturing Chinese fishermen. It's fine, don't worry. The captain seemed to be a regular customer. It's not like we're the only one here. There's nothing wrong. Li Fan looked to both sides and saw many fishing boats fishing nearby. Just by looking at the fishing boats, it was impossible to tell which was the Chinese fishing boat and which was the Korean fishing boat. But not long after, a South Korean fishing boat came into sight. It seemed to be patrolling. But the captain didn't care about him at all. He was following the radar and chasing the school of fish. What are you looking at? Smelling a delicate fragrance, Li Fan turned his head and saw that Xiong Meili had slipped to his side without him noticing. She was leaning on the railing and talking to him. This Xiong Meili had delicate features and a good figure. She was wearing a white blouse, and her breasts were half exposed, pressing against the railing. It was extremely alluring. As for her lower body, she was wearing light yellow cropped pants that wrapped around her beautiful long legs, revealing a youthful and healthy feeling. Li Fan hadn't tasted meat for a long time. He had been living like a monk in prison for a period of time. At this moment, Xiong Meili didn't hide her charm at all, making Li Fan a little greedy. When a flower blooms, it should be plucked. Don't wait until there are no flowers and there are only branches to pluck, a thought floated in Li Fan's mind, and he quickly extinguished it. Damn, why did I start to let my imagination run wild? Li Fan patted his face to calm himself down. Little brother. Xiong Meili saw that Li Fan was a little distracted and called out again. Ah, I'm just worried about our safety. Li Fan straightened up and explained. It's okay. We come here often. Also, when we fish nowadays, we follow the radar. The radar chases after the school of fish. Wherever the school of fish goes, we go. Sometimes when the school of fish comes here, we have to take the risk to come in. You can't risk your life to earn money. Li Fan couldn't help but ask. Don't be afraid. I'll protect you if anything happens. Xiong Meili couldn't help but laugh. Listen to yourself. I'm not a gigolo. Hee hee, how can there be a gigolo as silly as you? Xiong Meili simply turned over and sat directly on the railing. Then, she shook her little feet. After such a long time at sea, she had long been used to such a life and was very comfortable. Xiong Meili gently pressed down her hair that was blown by the sea breeze and hummed a fisherman's tune. Brother on the other side of the sea, do you know how much I miss you? Sister on the other side of the fishing boat, looking at the stars every day and night. On the day we return from the sea, you hold me, stepping on the beach. I hope that when the moon hides, I'll be panting in your ear. This little tune was so interesting that Li Fan was a little lost in thought while listening to it. It was okay at first, but the more he listened, the more he felt it was not right. When she sang the last 2 lines, she almost made Li Fan hard. What the hell? How did a good ballad turn into a dirty tune? Xiong Meili seemed to have gotten her way. She couldn't stop laughing and turned to run away. This girl. Li Fan shook his head repeatedly. She was poisonous. Li Fan turned around and continued to look at the vast sea. The sea breeze was very comfortable, with a little fishy smell. When it blew on Li Fan's face, it made Li Fan feel refreshed. He simply sat on the deck, closed his eyes, and began to contemplate his new move. Although the Fist of Seven Heroes was a very strong combat skill, the higher it went, the more perverted the opponents would be. It was time for a new generation of martial arts skills. The Dragon Lady had taught him a set of basic dragon fighting technique, and he modified it according to his own moves. When Li Fan closed his eyes, he also entered his own world of consciousness. This was also a peaceful sea of consciousness, but there was a little more content than usual. The flying lion goddess stood there, but the armor on her body had changed. Originally, her armor had a lion's head and a lion's pattern. But now, her armor had become the flying dragon armor, with a dragon's head and a dragon's body. It seemed that he had completely understood the dragon fighting technique, so the flying lion goddess had evolved into the flying dragon goddess. Other than the flying dragon goddess, Li Fan also felt that something was not right. He looked down. In this peaceful sea of consciousness, there was a reflection of himself. The sea of consciousness was very special. There was no reflection. But this time, there was a reflection. This was a little strange. Li Fan looked at his reflection in the sea of consciousness and seemed to understand something. This was the chosen one. He had already merged with him, so the reflection in the sea of consciousness should also be his reflection. Li Fan was about to study it when he suddenly felt as if someone was secretly touching him. Li Fan suddenly opened his eyes and realized that the sky was already dark. The ship floated quietly on the sea, and the entire sky was reflected on the surface of the sea. Xiong Meili was in his arms, looking at him with a lustful smile. Chapter 1209. Xiong Meili was smiling in his arms. Her smile was full of lust. Her hand was still moving around his crotch. "You're provoking me, little girl." Li Fan lowered his voice. He was a little afraid of waking up the captain. The other party saved his life. In the blink of an eye, he was going to have sex with the other party's daughter. Wasn't that a bit inappropriate? But, damn it, who's having sex with whom? Also, is this some kind of badger game? For a moment, countless thoughts flashed through Li Fan's mind. Badger game shouldn't be possible. He wanted to pay, but the captain didn't want it. Badger game and whatnot shouldn't be possible. Li Fan felt that he might be thinking too much. Maybe this little girl stayed in bed for too long and was a little horny. Cough cough, it's on the boat. Especially since spring hasn't passed and now is the season of estrus. It's understandable. Bah, estrus my ass. Humans are not animals. Is there a season for estrus? Don't be afraid. I won't eat you. Xiong Meili winked at Li Fan. But. When Li Fan was about to speak, Xiong Meili pressed her finger on his lips. Shoo, don't talk. Be careful not to wake my dad up. Xiong Meili said in Li Fan's ear, at that time, you won't be able to eat me. You're still young. Don't be afraid. It's not my first time. Xiong Meili said. She seemed to be a little impatient. Under the night sky, her hand slowly reached into Li Fan's pants. Li Fan didn't know why. Although this Xiong Meili was not a particularly beautiful woman, she had a unique charm that attracted him. Li Fan couldn't help but want to have something with this Miss Xiong Meili. Dark clouds slowly appeared in the sky. It was as if the stars were shy and were hiding behind the clouds. The small fishing boat swayed with the waves, but it didn't feel the special vibration. He thought that he could easily deal with this girl, but who would have thought that this girl would ask for it 6 or 7 times in a row? When the sky was about to brighten, the two of them hastily ended their battle. Xiong Meili licked her lips and looked at Li Fan as she put on her clothes. Little brother, your stamina is not bad. I didn't misjudge you. I really dote on your future husband. I'm afraid he's going to die young. Li Fan could not help but sigh. I won't marry anyone. Xiong Meili said without hesitation, how happy it is to drift on the sea like this. What a special hobby, Li Fan shook his head. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see through this woman. Just as Li Fan was pulling up his pants, the captain suddenly rushed out of the cabin. Li Fan was shocked. Was this a trap? Little brother, quickly enter the cabin. The storm is coming. He didn't expect the captain to come out to warn him. He seemed to know his daughter's unique hobbies. He just glanced at her and didn't say anything. I didn't expect them to come so quickly. Xiong Meili raised her head and glanced at the cloudy sky. It was supposed to be dawn, but the thick dark clouds made the sea look like it was still night. Little brother, quickly come in and hide. Before the captain finished speaking, the storm came. Heavy rain poured down, setting off stormy waves on the surface of the sea. This small fishing boat seemed so insignificant on the sea at this moment. A monstrous wave directly lifted the boat up. Before Li Fan could react, he was directly swallowed by the sea. He tried to raise his elemental chi to save the captain and his daughter. But he didn't know why. At this moment, he felt his physical strength was empty. For a moment, he couldn't gather his elemental chi. He was a little flustered in the sea, not understanding what was happening. But at this moment, Li Fan saw Xiong Meili's figure. She swam freely in the sea like a mermaid. She swam in front of him and reached out to hold him. At the same time, she kissed Li Fan's lips. It was as if there was oxygen coming in from her mouth. But Li Fan's consciousness was out of control and slowly sank. Before the darkness enveloped him, Li Fan faintly heard Xiong Meili's voice. In the future, don't ever come to East Sea again. Then, darkness completely enveloped him. When Li Fan woke up, he realized that he was lying on a hospital bed. He was surrounded by white walls. It was very abrupt. And a familiar figure was sitting in front of him, looking at him. It was Dragon Lady. Why are you here? Before asking me, shouldn't you care about yourself first? Dragon Lady curled her lips. They found you at the port and said that you had been unconscious. I rushed over in a hurry, but I realized that you have quite a lot of luck with women. What do you mean? Li Fan was a little surprised. Could it be that Dragon Lady had discovered that he had a one-night stand with the young lady? Impossible, Dragon Lady wasn't there at that time. Even if she was omnipotent, it was impossible for her to see what happened thousands of miles away, right? Humph. Dragon Lady sniffed, still pretending. You have dragon fragrance on you. Dragon fragrance? What's that? Li Fan was stunned when he heard that. After a dragon copulates, it will emit dragon fragrance. The dragon fragrance on your body is so strong. Obviously, you were pampered by a female dragon in heat, right? Female dragon? What a joke. Li Fan did not believe Dragon Lady at all. She might be lying to him. Aren't you the last Dragon Lady? Since I'm alive, there might be other surviving dragons. According to her own analysis, Dragon Girl said, they might be living as ordinary people or living in seclusion deep in the mountains and forests, reclusive. If you don't believe me, let me ask you. Did you lose your strength after copulating with a girl? Stop pretending. When you copulate with a dragon, your strength will be temporarily sucked away. It will take a short period of time to recover. This is a self-protection method of the dragon race. Because dragons are lascivious by nature, the men and women of the dragon race like to copulate everywhere. No matter what race the other party is, as long as they look pleasing to the eye, they will do it. In order to prevent the other party from attacking them after copulation, the dragon race uses this method to weaken the person they copulate with and ensure that they have a safe time to leave. Fuck. Did I really get fucked by a dragon? Li Fan wanted to cry but no tears came out. No wonder that girl's desire was so strong. She had sucked him clean. Were those women really dragons? Then he was too lucky. He met 3 dragons in a row that others would never see in their entire lives. How was it? Copulating with a dragon, did it feel good? Dragon Lady asked again. There seemed to be some jealousy in her voice. This was the first time. When Li Fan was in the dojo, he also indulged in pleasure every night. Dragon Lady also did not care. To Dragon Lady, she probably had ownership over him. Oh right. That woman. She reminded me not to go to East Sea in the future. What's going on? Li Fan thought of the words he heard before he fainted and hurriedly asked. Chapter 12:10. Li Fan also did not expect that he would be able to spend a night with another dragon girl. It was said that dragons were lustful by nature and could sleep with anyone. Li Fan had seen it for himself. However, this dragon lady in front of him seemed to be an exception. She was only interested in eating and did not seem to have any pursuits in that area. However, Xiong Meili had warned him not to go to the East Sea in the future. What was going on? Li Fan felt a little confused. That goes without saying. The dragon lady curled her lips. The dragon you met should be in a pair with him. You slept with his wife, so he definitely won't let you off. Li Fan suddenly thought of that terrifying rainstorm. Could it be that guy's doing? Li Fan thought about it and could not help but feel a little scared. It seemed that this girl should not sleep around. No matter what, I'm back alive and well. Li Fan wiped his cold sweat. After I return, I'm going into seclusion to cultivate. That's up to you as long as you don't provoke other dragon ladies. Also, you should rest at home and don't go out and mess around. What's wrong? From your tone, it sounds like it's very serious. Li Fan looked at the dragon lady strangely. The dragon lady hesitated again and again, as if she was hiding something from Li Fan. Tell me, is there anything you can't tell me? Alright, I'm worried about your life. My life? Aren't I alive and well? Li Fan was puzzled. What was wrong with the dragon lady today? She was always acting weird. I lied to you about some of the things I told you just now. Which? Dragons are lustful by nature. No, that's true. Then what's fake? The dragon clan can mate with other species, but not with humans. What do you mean? Racial discrimination? Discrimination my ass. In the past, when the dragon race was flourishing, there were dragon ladies who could not bear the loneliness and mated with human men. All the men who mated with dragon ladies died in the end. Are you kidding? Why? Are humans so special? Humans have always been special, Dragon Lady explained. The bodies of dragon race women are different from ordinary human women. When they copulate, they will absorb a large amount of true essence as nourishment for reproduction. When a dragon lady and a human mate, they would definitely give birth to a dragon child. But it's just like the female praying mantis in the legends. The man gives his all and becomes the nutrition for the next generation. The female praying mantis eating the male praying mantis. That's pure nonsense. Whether it's nonsense or not, the logic is the same. I see that you are still alive and kicking, so I think that you might have survived by a fluke. Although I don't know what method you used, at least you survived. Li Fan could not stop his cold sweat. What the hell was this? Was he using his life to hook up? Otherwise, why do you think I've never felt anything for so many years? I put all my attention on eating, so I can more or less make up for the gap in my feelings. Li Fan vaguely remembered that Dragon Lady did not care about the lives of humans, but she respected the laws of nature and never took the initiative to take the lives of others. This is probably a curse. Since ancient times, dragon ladies who fall in love with humans have a tragic fate. Usually, they will pursue whichever man they like. Then they copulate, and the man dies. After dragon ladies give birth, they will also die of a broken heart. Therefore, the elders in the clan explicitly forbid dragon ladies from having feelings for humans. What about dragon males? Li Fan asked. Dragon males do not suck people's essence. They are fooling around and nothing happens to them. No one cares. Dragon Lady said angrily, as if she was very upset. She picked up the apple on the table beside her and took a big bite. Hey, that's my consolation prize, what's yours is mine. Dragon Lady did not stand on ceremony at all. Anyway, Be careful these 2 days. If there's anything wrong with your body, tell me immediately. Ah, if something really happens, do you have a way to save me? Li Fan said. After all, she was a dragon lady who had lived for thousands of years. She was quite reliable at critical times. No, I need to find the next successor in time. Dragon Lady's words almost angered Li Fan to death. I didn't want to tell you at first, afraid that you would panic. But you just had to ask. Humans are too curious. Hey, is it me who wants to ask? It's clearly your expression. Anyone would be curious, okay? This apple is quite delicious. Do you want to eat it? Li Fan was a little speechless. This woman, she was killing him. Fine, fine, fine. I can't afford to offend you, but I can hide. I'm fine. Go back to G City and prepare for seclusion. Okay, you haven't been back for so long. Everyone misses you. Especially Xiao AI, she blames herself and keeps saying that she will find a way to make it up to you. It has nothing to do with her. She was just used by the royal guards. Li Fan sneered, when I come out of seclusion, it will be the death of the royal guards. That's not a good idea. They are from an official family. So what if they are from an official family? Don't look down on me, Li Fan. Li Fan had already started to have crooked thoughts, just watch and see how I completely disintegrate the Imperial Army. Okay, as you wish. Eat the apple. Dragon Lady stuffed an apple into Li Fan's mouth. Li Fan returned to the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School safely. With General Rand's protection, no one dared to touch the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School. Di Wuliang, who had been promoted to a minister cadre, wanted to make trouble for the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School many times. However, the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School was well protected by General Rand's troops, so he had no chance to make a move. He watched Li Fan swagger into the martial arts school and gnashed his teeth in anger. Fortunately, Lord Sima was wise and did not blame him for Li Fan's escape. But recently, Lord Sima is also under great pressure. One Murong Bo, one Li Fan, both of them are thorns in his eyes. If he still wanted to climb up, he naturally had to help him pull out these two poisonous thorns. Li Fan was Di Wuliang's first target. Even if he had to use all his tricks, he would turn Li Fan into ashes. While Di Wuliang was plotting against Li Fan, he did not know that Li Fan was also plotting against him at the same time. At this time, Li Fan had already started his seclusion training. But not long after, the martial arts world in G City suffered a disaster. Young Master Zhang Guo, who had a new leg, finally invited the strongest man from the Takeda family in Japan, Takeda Tsuyoshi. The hidden chess piece that Jiang Feng had set up that day finally began to play its role today. Young Master, bad news, just as Zhang Guo was fantasizing about how to beat up Li Fan and take back Lu Wanwan, his bodyguard ran in with a panicked expression, startling a beautiful girl who was sitting on Zhang Guo and moving up and down. What's wrong? Say it. Zhang Guo was a little annoyed. What if he was disturbed at such a crucial time? Young Master. Mr. Takeda, he's gone. Chapter 12:11. This was Takeda's second visit to China. The last time he came here was about 20 years ago. At that time, he was not the strongest in the island. He followed his master to Huaxia and experienced the martial arts world of Huaxia. In the past, Takeda was also very hot-tempered. To him, the Chinese martial arts world was not worth mentioning. They were just a group of sick men of East Asia. But at that time, he met a guy with the surname Murong. This man, who was about the same age as him, had actually defeated his master. Takeda's arrogant and willful mentality was immediately impacted. He obediently returned to Japan and began to cultivate in seclusion. He only had one goal in mind, and that was to return to Huaxia and defeat the Huaxia experts of the past. Previously, when someone came over and told him that there was a young man in China who had defeated an unparalleled expert, Takeda only smiled and did not take it to heart. He had also been through that age, so he knew the indulgence of that age. Moreover, in Jianghu, the wind was the rain. China's martial arts world was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. How could a young man be invincible in the world? Later on, there were rumors that this young man had defeated the villa master of Murong Villa. Takeda could no longer sit still. He immediately accepted the invitation and went to Huaxia. Takeda Tsuyoshi was wearing a loose white martial arts suit. It was the end of spring and the beginning of summer in City G. The weather was already a bit hot. Wearing wooden clogs, he walked on the streets of City G, looking at the bustling market. He was not used to living in seclusion on Mount Fuji all year round. Takeda walked like a dragon or a tiger, stepping on the wooden clogs. His footsteps produced a clattering sound. He took 2 or 3 steps forward, grabbed a pedestrian's arm, and asked, "Excuse me, how do I get to the Seven Heroes Martial Arts School?" Takeda's Chinese was very stiff, but it was understandable. "How would I know? Go Baidu yourself." The pedestrian was also a foreigner. There were many foreigners in City G. It was not easy to find someone who was familiar with the way. "Baidu? What's that?" Takeda kept his hands in his sleeves, unable to understand for a long time. Fortunately, there was a traffic police watchtower not far away. When Takeda Tsuyoshi saw this, he was overjoyed and immediately walked over. A woman's scream came from the street next to them. A Toyota Prado, like crazy, rushed directly to the sidewalk next to it and hit a woman pushing a stroller. The surrounding people were so scared that they closed their eyes, afraid to see a bloody scene. At this moment, Takeda's body suddenly brought along a gust of wind. In an instant, he arrived in front of the Toyota. Then, he raised his right foot high and ruthlessly struck the hood of the car. Boom! The Toyota SUV, which was charging over, paused for a moment. The front of the car caved in, and the rear of the car was lifted more than half a meter high before landing heavily on the ground. It stopped there, and the deformed front of the car was still emitting black smoke. A drunk driver in his 30s, who was drunk like a dog, pushed open the car door, pointed at Takeda, and cursed. "Motherfucker, you stinking idiot, do you know how much my car costs?" Takeda ignored him. He squatted in front of the stroller and looked at the chubby baby in the stroller, laughing and teasing him. "Come, smile for grandpa." The baby kept laughing and seemed to like Takeda very much. Seeing that Takeda gang was ignoring him, the drunk driver stepped forward to tear Takeda gang apart. At this time, the traffic police had rushed over, subdued the driver, and pressed him to the ground. "What are you doing? Do you know who I am?" This man shouted loudly, and a traffic police came over and expressed his gratitude to Takeda. Although he didn't know how this old man did it, he did prevent a tragedy from happening. "Let me ask you something." Takeda looked at the traffic police very seriously. "What is Baidu?" "Huh?" The traffic police was surprised, thinking, why did this foreign friend ask this? "That's a search engine." "What is a search engine?" Takeda lived in seclusion in Mount Fuji all year round, so he didn't know anything about computers. "It's a search tool." "What's the matter?" "Oh, I want to find the 7 Xia Martial Arts School, they told me to Baidu." Takeda took the opportunity to inquire. 7 Xia Martial Arts School. It should be on the same street as the martial arts school. The traffic police took out a tourist map out of nowhere and pointed, "There are many martial arts schools on this street, you can go here." "Thank you." Takeda bowed to the traffic police, and the traffic police also gave him the map. "I still have something to deal with, you can take your time." The drunk driver was still shouting loudly. "Do you know who I am? If you dare to touch me, believe it or not, I will peel off your skin." The traffic police smiled and said as he stuffed the man into the police car. "Right now, I really want to know who you are. Take him away, let him sober up." These people escorted the drunk driver away, leaving 2 traffic police to deal with the scene. Takeda took the map and continued to look for his 7th martial arts school. But this famous martial artist of the island was actually lost. When Takeda was busy looking for the martial arts school, a guest came to Li Fan's side. A Japanese woman was sitting in the hall of the martial arts school, waiting to meet Li Fan. She was about 20 years old, with long black hair, beautiful facial features, bright eyes, and white teeth, making her lovable. She was wearing a sapphire blue knitted sweater with a white undershirt inside. She was wearing black wide-legged pants, revealing her fair ankles and a pair of clean sneakers. This woman seemed to be a little nervous, as if there was something urgent. After Li Fan came in, she immediately stood up and respectfully bowed to Li Fan, scaring Li Fan. How could there be such etiquette in China? Mr. Li, nice to meet you. Hello, I am Takeda Lon. Takeda. Li Fan had just come out of closed-door training not long ago. He only heard that a girl was looking for him, but he didn't expect it to be someone from the Takeda family. Mr. Li, although it's a little rude, I'll come straight to the point. Please leave City G, huh? When Li Fan heard this, he almost laughed out loud. This beautiful woman turned out to be a lunatic. Mr. Li. Don't misunderstand, I am not driving you away, I just hope that you can leave. This Takeda Lan's Chinese was not bad, judging from her voice, it was almost impossible to tell that she was a Japanese. But her style and attitude still had the demeanor of a Japanese. Leave. Li Fan sat on the chair, picked up the tea prepared by Jiang Yi, and asked slowly. What, is there going to be an earthquake in G City? Mr. Li, don't misunderstand, I have no evil intentions. Takeda Lan kept explaining. Chapter 12:12. Takeda Lan desperately tries to explain to Li Fan, but Li Fan mutters in his heart, Takeda Lan, this name is too close to Takeda Lan. Looking at this beauty in front of him, if she goes down to the sea, she will probably have a lot of fans. However, with the Takeda family background, she will not fall to that step, it is a bit regretful. This person of mine, is like this. If you want me to hide, I will not hide. Mr. Li, how can you be like this, I am doing this for your own good. Takeda Lan is a bit anxious, my grandfather is coming soon, he is here to defeat you. This will be a tragedy for both Huaxia and Japan's martial arts world. Oh. Li Fan chuckles as he fiddles with the teacup, why do you say so? My grandfather is Japan's #1 expert, he has always hoped to defeat China's experts. Now that he has come out, he will definitely sweep China's martial arts. Moreover, the Takeda family has already made preparations, after you are defeated, they will attack China's martial arts world in one go, defeating all the Chinese experts. In other words, Japan's martial arts world wants to destroy China's martial arts world. Then why did you come here to tell me, aren't you a spy? How can you be like this? I came to remind you out of goodwill, but you want to ridicule me? My goodwill is taken as ill intent. Then I really have to thank Miss Takeda. Li Fan casually says, first of all, China's martial arts world, it is not Japan's turn to make a move. Secondly, how do you know that I will lose? Although she does not understand the meaning of Li Fan's first sentence, but Takeda Lan can still understand the second sentence. My grandfather is a top expert. You are so young, how can you defeat him? Don't speak so early, we will only know after we fight. Li Fan lightly taps his fingers, perhaps you have good intentions, but don't look down on China's men. I, Li Fan, am a martial artist, anyone who challenges me, I will accept. Don't say that your grandfather is only an expert of the Takeda family, even if he is a Daluo Golden Immortal, when he comes here, I will also treat him with fists and feet. Unreasonable. Takeda Lan angrily stands up, looks like I really did something unnecessary today. Goodbye. With that, the woman walked out of the door. Don't say that. I'm still very grateful to you. Why don't you stay for dinner? Putting aside the martial arts world of the two countries, we can still talk about other friendly things, such as the relationship between a man and a woman. Rascal. Takeda Lan stood at the door, turned around and glared fiercely at Li Fan. By the way, I'm a nurse. I'm working at G University's orthopedic hospital. I'm waiting to help you set your bones. After saying that, the nurse turned around and left. Li Fan, on the other hand, was very happy. This little girl was quite fun to play with. However, Takeda had just come to challenge him, which was interesting. Li Fan had also heard of Takeda's name. It was said that he was the #1 martial artist in Japan. As for how strong it was, Li Fan had no idea. But no matter how strong he was, he couldn't possibly be a martial saint, right? To be honest, in Li Fan's heart, he really did not take the martial arts world of Japan seriously. Right now, he was worried about something else. The Dragon Lady had said that if a man had sex with the Dragon Lady, she would definitely give birth to a son. Although the pregnancy period was very long, it could be 10 or even 20 years. Didn't that mean that 1 year in the future, he would suddenly have another child? Becoming a father. Pfft. He was helping someone else to become a father. That Xiong Mei's husband would hate him so much. No wonder she had warned him not to go to the East Sea. Li Fan felt that he was about to become the public enemy of the country. However, before that, there was one more thing that Li Fan had to deal with. The matter of the royal guards had to be settled as soon as possible. That night, an invitation was sent to Di Wuliang's hands. Di Wuliang looked at the invitation in his hands and frowned. It was an invitation. It invited Di Wuliang to attend a banquet at Li Fan's martial arts center that night. It was written politely. It said that there was a misunderstanding with the royal guards. It hoped that the person in charge of the royal guards in City G, Officer Zhai, could forgive him. Therefore, he specially held a banquet in hopes that Officer Zhai would do him the honor. There were many provinces and cities in China. The branches of the royal guards were also divided according to their ranks. The executive of each province was at the rank of a sergeant. The person in charge of each city was at the rank of a minister. Di Wuliang had achieved many miracles and climbed all the way to this position. However, in terms of rank, he was still a head lower than Li Fan. This was an invitation from his superior. If he did not go, it would not be good. However, what was Li Fan thinking? Did he really want to be on good terms with the royal guards? How was that possible? He had offended Li Fan many times. How forgiving did he have to be in order to forgive him? However, if it was an open and above-board matter, he should not dare to do anything to him. He was a minister-level officer and had a high status in the royal guards. If Li Fan wanted to do anything to him, he would have to think twice. "Sir, are we going tonight?" One of Di Wuliang's subordinates, Huang Jia, asked from the side. He was one of Di Wuliang's sworn brothers in the imperial army, and he served as Di Wuliang's right-hand man. Huang Jia's greatest strength was that he was good at flattering people. Sometimes, it was quite comfortable for Di Wuliang. Once a person had power, he would want someone to flatter him. Even the quick-witted Di Wuliang was no exception after gaining power and influence. "I'm thinking about it. Sir, your wisdom is unparalleled and you have eyes and ears everywhere. Why are you afraid of Li Fan?" Huang Jia tried his best to flatter Di Wuliang. "I think that Li Fan saw that you have been promoted to a minister-level officer. Is that why he wants to curry favor with you?" "What nonsense are you talking about? Li Fan is the imperial sword. This position is high and mighty in China. Even if Lord Sima saw him, he would have to call him officer." "Ah. Didn't you help Lord Sima to send him to prison? China is a country ruled by law. We only locked him up because we had something on him. But as you can see, just a few days later, he swaggered out and completely destroyed the heavenly prison. Because of this, Lord Sima flew into a rage and said that he would be irreconcilable with Li Fan. Sir, in this world, who can escape from your schemes?" Huang Jia continued to flatter, "I admire your wisdom. If I had 1/10 of your intelligence, I would have been successful long ago." Huang Jia knew how to flatter and he could always do it just right. To deal with Li Fan, it is not enough to just have wisdom. But you must also work hard. Follow me and learn from me. It will be good for you. Yes, yes, yes. Following sir, even if I can get a little bit of talent, it will be very beneficial to me. Don't always flatter me. I don't fall for it. That's right. Sir is upright and outspoken. You never accept flattery from others. On this point, other leaders cannot compare to you. They should all learn from you. Yes, yes. That's right. Chapter 12-13. Di Wuliang thought about it again and again. In the end, he decided to go. Li Fan was his boss. He had no choice but to go. However, Di Wuliang wouldn't go for nothing. He had already arranged 20 thugs to lurk around the martial arts school, waiting for his orders. Once there was any danger, they would immediately charge in and risk their lives to protect their master, saving him. Moreover, if Li Fan dared to make a move on him, then he would be lawless. He could also use this method to arrest Li Fan again. What's the big deal about the Shangfang sword? Even the country's leader can't casually break the law. On the surface, China was still a country ruled by law. Di Wuliang also brought 3 guards with him. They accompanied him into Li Fan's 7 Heroes Martial Arts School. It was around 8:00 in the evening. The ordinary students in the martial arts school had already gone back. The remaining advanced students were also resting. A banquet was already prepared in the living room. Only Li Fan and imperial concubine Zhou were sitting there, waiting for Di Wuliang. Hey, little Zhai. Li Fan looked at the 3 guards behind Di Wuliang and couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you being too careful? Why do you have to bring 3 subordinates for a meal? Why? Are you afraid that I'll harm you? Li Fan used words to push him, but Di Wuliang's expression didn't change. He cupped his hands at Li Fan, safety first. Sorry for making you laugh. Come, little Zhai. Don't be polite. Sit down and eat. Li Fan reached out his hand, make it your own home. I'm sorry for making you spend so much money. Di Wuliang sat down in a relaxed manner. However, he was still muttering in his heart. This Li Fan was obviously younger than him, but he still called him little Zhai. It was really annoying. However, he was an officer. It didn't matter if he called him that. Come, little Zhai. This is the Mao Tai that I snatched from General Ran. Li Fan picked up a bottle of white wine and pretended to pour it. Drinking white wine was different from drinking beer. Mug after mug of beer, he emptied the bottle when he was impatient. However, white wine had to be tasted, so the wine glasses in front of the 3 of them were all small wine glasses. They were exquisite and unique, and each glass was less than 1 tael. It was just right. Not only could he enjoy the taste of good wine, but he wouldn't drink too much and burn his stomach. You and our imperial concubine Zhou also have some misunderstanding. Let's drink a cup of wine today. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Li Fan didn't have time to pour the wine for Di Wuliang, and Di Wuliang quickly stopped Li Fan. Ayaya, you are the leader. How can I let you pour wine for a little subordinate like me? Moreover, white wine is harmful to the liver. If you drink too much, it won't be good for your body. A while ago, I got a few bottles of Royal Salute from overseas. Although it's not a particularly high-class bar, it's definitely authentic. Xiao Huang, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and pour wine for the leader. What do I usually teach you? Hey, he's here. Huang Jia, who was standing at the side, heard this and walked over with an exquisite bottle of Royal Salute in his hand. Leader, have a taste of this. Di Wuliang's words were polite, but in fact, Li Fan knew what he was thinking. This kid was really sneaky. He even brought his own wine. When it was time to eat later, if this kid took out some chicken feet or pig trotters from his pocket, that would be really amazing. However, Di Wuliang was still too inexperienced. I think it's better to drink white wine, Li Fan pretended to be very regretful. Di Wuliang quickly picked up the royal salute personally and was about to pour wine for Li Fan. This small wine cup is suitable for drinking white wine. Li Fan emphasized. It's fine, leader. I've prepared everything for you. Di Wuliang ordered the guard to take out a few clean goblets. Not bad, the preparation was really complete. Even the goblets had to be used from his own. It was really safety first. Li Fan couldn't stop Di Wuliang. Di Wuliang had already poured wine for the three of them. Xiao Di, how about this? Why don't we not eat this meal? Did you also bring your own? Li Fan sneered and asked. Leader, don't be angry. I'm just letting you drink some good wine. I can't even bear to drink these bottles of royal salute myself. I specially brought them to show my filial piety to you. Besides, the focus today is not on eating. I'm also drinking to apologize to you. I've brought enough wine. Today, I'll drink as much as the leader wants me to drink. How about this, I'll punish myself with a bottle first. As he spoke, he grabbed a bottle of royal salute and stuffed it into his mouth. Dong, dong, dong. Di Wuliang drank the bottle of red wine in a few gulps and then wiped his mouth. Leader, I'll drink. You can do as you please. Forget it. Xiao Di is just following orders. Imperial concubine Zhou sat next to him. Her voice was a little elegant. It seemed that she was speaking up for Di Wuliang. Let's not make things difficult for him. In the future, we'll all be in the same territory. We can't help each other. Yes, yes, yes. Imperial concubine Zhou is right. After all, he's a martial arts master. His realm is indeed different. I toast you. As he spoke, Huang Jia had already cleverly filled his cup with wine. Di Wuliang didn't hesitate and drank the entire cup. After he finished, he turned the cup upside down. It was empty. There wasn't a single drop of wine. All right, sit down. Let's drink and talk. Li Fan could only sigh and sit down. Di Wuliang heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. It seemed that he had blocked Li Fan's plan. However, the drinking session was still going on. He still had to be more careful. He didn't want to fall into Li Fan's trap. This brat looked young and harmless, but he was actually very black-bellied. The three of them toasted each other and drank quite a bit. However, Di Wuliang was also a person with a high alcohol tolerance. Moreover, he had the dragon chip to strengthen his body. A little bit of alcohol was nothing to him. However, halfway through the drinking session, Di Wuliang felt that imperial concubine Zhou, who was sitting opposite him, was very beautiful. Why was this woman as beautiful as a painting? Her bright eyes and white teeth made people want to take a bite out of her. Beautiful, really too beautiful. This kind of woman, sleeping with her for a night would be worth it even if I had to live 10 years less. This brat Li Fan really had good luck with women. This woman, why was she like a fairy, that pair of long legs, white and straight? I really want to carry them and go to her mysterious place to play. Why was she smiling at me? Could it be that she had taken a fancy to me and wanted to spend a night with me? Most likely, this brat Li Fan's lower body wasn't good enough to satisfy this imperial concubine. Imperial concubine, come, let me toast you. Di Wuliang stood up and walked in front of imperial concubine Zhou. He held the wine cup. There was a misunderstanding before. I hope you don't mind. How could I? It's all in the past. Imperial concubine Zhou stretched out her small white hand and also held the wine cup. Her face was slightly flushed. She gently pulled down her collar. This wine is a bit hot.